What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode and live stream of Let's Get Nuts here on the Ben Thomas Show. Thanks for coming back. Guys, I have a wildly huge panel of folks today joining from all corners of the earth to get nutty with us here on a Sunday afternoon. And it's a great time to be here because today is episode 50 of live streams from Let's Get Nuts, which is wild to me. I can't believe we've done this 50 times already. So I'm so happy you guys are here. We're going to talk about entertainment news, of course, as always, to get us warmed up. We're going to talk Hot Toys news, Jazzinc Catwoman, and whatever other crazy, random, nutty shit that comes up. So guys, if you like the video, hit the like button, smash the subscribe if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show, and of course, let's get nuts.
What are you doing? You're completely outnumbered here. Are you nuts? You want to get 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 nuts? Come on, let's get nuts. Let's get nuts. Let's get nuts. Let's get nuts. Let's get nuts.
So we're back. And of course, guys, it would not be a Sunday without all of the folks that come and join me every week to chat and have a good time. But there's one person that always classes up the panel, so I do think we need to get him out here first and foremost. Mr. Classy Thomas, SpongeBob SquarePants, good to see you, buddy. How's
What's
it going,
going on? How you doing today, Ben?
Dude, it's been a good week. I worked out today. So I've been on a new fitness routine.
Yeah?
So I've been cutting out all the sugar and I've been eating healthy. And I went and did my lower body this morning. And I can tell you, I did it with that machine where I honestly always thought it was a girl's machine where you squeeze your legs
Oh no,
like
the
this.
the abductors. Oh yeah.
Oh my god, I feel like I've been kicked in the lower body. So if I grunt at all, I apologize to all of the folks. But it was a good day. Otherwise, I was rushing a little bit, and I was happy to see everybody joining in today. Of course, you especially, good sir. Thanks for being back here on episode 50, which is
I
wild.
know. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I should go back and count how many you've been on with me now, Classy. But it's definitely the majority, I would say.
Yeah, it's been a lot. Now is that 50 in total or 50 just for
50
this year?
total episodes. 50
Wow.
total episodes. Yeah. So, yeah. And, honestly, when I first got started, the very first stream, I was saying to the guys backstage, at the time, nobody could jump in with me right away. So I started that stream by myself, the very first one. And it was really freaking awkward because I'm talking to myself. And actually, it was Will Foxification that jumped in to be like, this seems a little awkward, send me the link. And then Zach, the Oxfather, also jumped in. So that's how it all got started. But dude, happy to have you here, of course. Let's bring in our next panelist, of course. He's a dreamy fellow. One would say he's one of the good ones. He's helped create the majority of your membership badges if you are a Tough Nut member. Let's bring him out here. We got Dean the Dream Martin. Good to see you, buddy. How's it going?
Majority? I think I've done all of them.
I think you've done all of them. Yeah, actually, that's true. Yeah, now that I say majority, yes, all of them, including the Let's Get Nuts logo, which really elevated the show for me, buddy. But I finally got the Wolverine and Deadpool one added actually last week.
Nice.
So I'll show that to everybody if anybody missed the show. So, but dude, thanks so much for being here. How's your weekend been so far?
Pretty good, uneventful, which is not always a bad thing.
Hell yeah, dude. You didn't get a chance to see your mom today, you were saying.
She might still come over, so if I have to dip out, I will, but...
Fair enough. Mom's first. That's fair. That's valid.
Always.
Dude, happy to have you here, man. Thanks for joining in, as always, of course. Last week, we had a newer panelist on the show. And, I got some really great reception. I have been able to fully verify that his background is not a green screen. He does, in fact, collect. And he got something cool this week that I'm going to ask him about as well today in the show. So let's bring him out here. We got Sith Scale Collector Mike. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for popping back in for another Let's Get Nuts.
What's up, Ben? What's up, guys? Yeah, thanks for having me back. Appreciate it.
Hell yeah, dude. Episode 50, we got to get the whole gang in if we can. So
Can't believe I made the cut.
Pretty exciting. Dude, 100%. You had an exciting week, so I'm excited to hear what you got this week.
Yeah, it was a good week.
So hell yeah, dude. But thanks for being here, as always. Good to see you. Now, it's been also a little while, guys, since we've seen this character appear on Let's Get Nuts. For a little while, we just thought he didn't like us anymore, to be honest. But otherwise, honestly, he's just a very busy character, and he brings the money to the stream. So let's be honest, Eddie Money Mendez is back. in the house. What's going on, buddy? Good to see you. How are you, buddy?
I can confirm I don't like you that much, but I still like to join it. I'm just kidding, dude. I love you. I love you, Bennett.
Hell yeah.
All you guys.
Hell yeah.
But
Hell yeah.
I'm glad to be here. It's been a long weekend / 3 days. I had a work thing in Santa Barbara for 3 days, and I came back Friday night, and then yesterday I went to see the new Alien movie. I didn't even know it came out already, dude, so I had to go see that. And then
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Oh, it's good, dude. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's I forget the word. It's like very a lot of it is like reminding me of the first movie, the first Alien. Like they pay homage to like a lot of the opening, the way the movie opens and everything. It's pretty sick, dude. If you guys are Alien fans, go check it out. It's dope.
I'm supposed to see it on Wednesday, so I'll update you guys next week.
Yeah, dude.
So.
It's cool, dude. I should have saw it at Regal. I've been into the popcorn buckets lately, and I've always tried to stay away from that kind of stuff, but Regal had it's like one of those tube popcorn buckets where it has the face hugger on it and it lights up green, dude. It looks pretty sick.
I saw those online, actually. Those are wild. I've also seen the xenomorph head ones as well.
Yeah.
Floating around. For some reason here in Canada, it seems like we get the shaft when it comes to popcorn buckets, because I've tried to now get a couple of them, and they never have the cool ones that you guys seem to get. So I don't know what it is out here at Landmark Cinemas. Hate to see it. Yeah. But good to see you, buddy. Thanks for popping in, as always. If there's any Nothing Burger topics on the show today, feel free to tell me, okay? And we'll skip you on those points. I'm just kidding. I love you, buddy. Thanks so much for being here. One last but not least panelist here. We haven't seen this gentleman here in a while, and I'm happy that he's here because we definitely have Star Wars on the docket for today. We got Chris from the Vintage Rebellion podcast, as well as Collecting Weekly.
Hey.
Good to see you back, buddy. How are you doing?
Yeah, man, doing good. I also saw Alien last night, and it was, it's pretty good. It's pretty interesting. They're trying, like no spoilers, but the one thing I liked about it was that they didn't disregard any of the previous films. Like it all sort of counted, which is nice when you follow a series for years. When they don't just eject all the things you cared about previously, it's good. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's interesting week for me. I think my first 1/6 scale figure is coming in next week, so it's an interesting time. You know what I mean?
Which one was that again, Chris?
Well, that's if you don't count Sideshow R2, which you guys probably don't count. That's fake stuff. So but I ordered the McCready from Mondo that everyone's ripping on for the globby paint on the hair. But we'll see how mine comes out.
I'm waiting on mine as well. So yeah, no, I'll be curious, because I've been disappointed by some of the unboxings that I've seen of some of them, unfortunately. So, and the prototype looked insanely good when that came out last year. So yeah, cross fingers. Good to have you back, buddy. Thank you to everybody joining in live here. I see you all in the comments. I'll definitely say hi to you guys a little more officially here in a couple minutes after our warm-ups, of course.
Can I make a comment about something? Having both of our two Canadians here, I got a chance to hear both of you say "oot," instead of, so
I missed it.
Yeah, you just said yours, Chris, and I think you said one back in the back room. So I'm waiting to hear another one. I like it when y'all say "oot" or "oot."
out. I guess that's why I've never noticed it myself. Guys, let's jump into a forced quick warm-up, and we don't have to go too long into this because I have one other warm-up before we say hello to everybody here out in the world, but I wanted to highlight this. This came in this week for me for pop culture. This is kind of my new incoming figure. I've got her kind of out of the box, at least to the point where I was able to take a photo of the head sculpt, and I gotta say, Multiverse of Madness Wanda, it does not disappoint so far. But I wanted to highlight it because I'm going to do a review on this guy, or on this gal, I should say, later today, and likely post that review tomorrow. So if anybody is interested in my thoughts on the figure and the unboxing, stay tuned for that. But that's my current new this week. Classy, have you had anything new come in for you, good sir, this week?
Not this week, but I have had several that have arrived like within the past couple of weeks. Of course, I cannot rave more about this Spider-Man. This Spider-Man is there are no words. This is probably my favorite Spider-Man figure that I have gotten from Hot Toys. The suit is just perfection, and it doesn't leave a big mark when you bend it. You don't get a lot of it doesn't seem to leave long-term creases. He poses really well. He's got those great ratcheted joints. And I also, there's one more. She's still in her box, but I got the third-party Chun-Li, and I put her next to Kim Masters, which I just recently got also, because I looked at that box and I looked at her box. I was like, man, this thing's will be a giant. I put them next to each other, and they literally fit perfectly. I mean, she looks like a female version. I mean, he's like super bulky and muscular, but she's got very muscular lower body, and so she fits right in. So even though I know that Iconic is working on a Chun-Li, I saw a prototype head sculpt they had done, and it looks pretty good. I still be hard pressed to see if it looks as good as this. I mean, I'm very impressed. So I'm looking forward to get my garage shelves put up and maybe do a couple of posing sessions with these guys. But yeah, I love it.
Hell yeah, dude. Congratulations on the new figures. I am still kicking myself that I canceled my Black Suit Spider-Man, to be honest.
Oh man.
No, I thought people were going to be lukewarm to it, to be honest, once they got it in their hands. And I was like, maybe I just jumped on the hype train too soon. I got the game. I loved the game, but I can collect the suits in the game. I don't know if I need to get them all in figure format. I know everybody's been raving about it so hard that I'm like, fuck. Like, I should have done it. So, way she goes. Dean, anything coming for you, good sir, this week that you've been excited about?
Yeah, I've been obsessed with the game Baldur's Gate 3. Mm-hmm. If you haven't played it, play it. It's fucking incredible. If you like D&D and turn-based combat, it's one of the greatest games I've ever played. Easily, probably top 3 video game of all time. It's incredible. But anyway, it's, again, Dungeons and Dragons centered, so I've been deep diving into Mythic Legions and picking up like fantasy style figures. So I picked up like an elf figure from, I think it's from like Magic the Gathering or something.
Oh, decent.
Just like
it's a good looking figure, actually.
And then I got a male elf because Billy Badfish plays, he plays a drow, but they're kind of like elves. And then I got this like paladin kind of knight here.
We don't talk about Badfish here because he never comes on Let's Get Nuts, but always promises that he will one day. So
what a bad guy! And then
what a bad guy.
I got a dwarf.
That's cool. I like that one.
And then I'm still working on my custom.
Dude, I'm so happy for you on this one. When you showed the head sculpt for her the other day, I wasn't on the show, I don't think, at the time, and it was like, that looks so good, man. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
And the gold sword Congrats. I got in yesterday.
No,
Dean, did you pay that yourself?
No, I had paid somebody to do it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
For you, Dean.
Yeah. So I've just been like, deep diving into fantasy figures. Picked up some like tieflings, and I've got a couple bards and a wizard, and it's just so much easier to do in 6-inch than 6 scale, rather, because
100%.
It's so much cheaper. I got like 8 figures in 6-inch as opposed to 1 figure in 6 scale, so I ain't mad.
Hell yeah, dude. Nice pickups, man. Hell yeah. Now, Mike, you sent me a message this week because you were like, I don't know, I'm a little on the fence with this. Tell us what you got and what your experience was with it, good sir.
Yeah, I was kind of hitting up anybody that I knew that had got one of these. I've been looking for it for a while. Bigger piece on the aftermarket and stuff, it's gone up, but I was finally able to get the Hot Toys DeLorean in my collection. So got it through buy sell trade on Facebook. Relatively smooth transaction. It got here, and before it comes, you're trying to figure out just how big that thing is, right? And it's considered one of the smaller vehicles and whatnot. Man, that thing got here and I started to panic. I didn't know where the hell it was going to go. It was bigger than I was expecting, but I did manage to get it into the garage shelves behind me. So yeah, that thing is crazy. It's sick. Yeah.
All the lights were working, no cracks on the.
Yeah, no,
on the-
it's
on the
good.
joints
The
or
wheels
anything.
are in good shape. Yeah, everything.
Nice.
So no, I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah.
Nice. And you got that
Yeah.
on the aftermarket, right? So you were saying like you were a little bit
Yeah.
nervous to buy it from another collector just because it's hard to vet that process.
Yeah, and I've dealt with him before, so I felt relatively comfortable with it. It's just, it's a big piece, right? And like you said, it had its issues to begin with, so trying to filter out what one person thinks is in good shape versus what I may think is good, is always kind of tricky. But yeah, no, overall, I'm pretty stoked with it.
I gotta try and figure out a better way to keep mine dusted, because I don't have like a glass cabinet to keep it in, unlike kind of all of my other figures, and so I've got it out with my TV display. But I'm noticing just like a subtle layer of dust starting to accumulate. So if you guys in the chat or in the panel have any recommendations, I'd be happy to take them, because there's some pretty delicate pieces in there, and I don't want to take like a microfiber rag to it by any stretch.
I would
so
tell
I'd
you
be
to
curious
just
see
get
what you
some
guys do.
compressed air, especially for on the backside where you got all the wires and stuff like that. Just hit it. But yeah, because I was thinking the same thing. I said mine's on the shelf now, but you have it, and for those that do, you can't hook it up to like a smart plug or anything, right? You have to hit that button every time. So I'm kind of going back and forth of do I want to put it somewhere else where it's more accessible so I can turn the lights on, 'cause with it in the shelf, I don't know how often I would use that, and the lights take that thing to a whole nother level. So you got to figure something
100%.
out.
I know I've kept mine off for a while, and I literally turned them on today just to have lit in the display. So that's awesome, man. Congrats on the congrats on
I
the
almost
pickup.
I almost had another new this week. I picked up Marvel Legends Spider-Man, but the shipper couldn't be bothered to put it in the mail in a timely fashion, so it's not here yet.
What a bastard! You
What
hate
a
to see
piece
it.
of
If you're
shit,
watching
dude.
out there, yeah.
I had to come for you before you came for me.
I see how it is. Eddie, anything that you were excited about joining your collection? You're expanding. You've been buying different scales lately. Anything that you've been really excited about?
I got a bunch of stuff last week, but over the weekend I got this cool werewolf figure. It's by Loose Collector.
That's dope.
They have names. This one's Delim. But I got it because it looks like the werewolf from Van Helsing. It's like my favorite look for a werewolf from a. It's not the like craziest werewolf movie, but it's pretty sick, dude. It's big too. It's like here. This is like a SHF figure. This is like a normal 6-inch figure, so this is like pretty much the size of a hot toy, dude. It's pretty sick. I haven't got to mess with it too much or take pictures of it or anything yet, but I'm excited to have it. It's cool. Yeah, so I got that this weekend. I got some other stuff too that I talked about a while ago. I don't have to get into everything that I got, but
No,
yes,
just
yeah,
whatever
Mike-
was most exciting for you.
Mike
is that the whole bleach
was
chain
referring
that
to
you
me.
got down there?
What was that?
Is that the whole
Crazy?
bleach chain you got down there?
Yeah, I finally opened them. I got all the SHF. I won't pull them all up, but
Wow.
you got Kenpachi, Byakuya, Renji, Ichigo, and then Toshido. So that's all the releases from SHF so far. This guy doesn't want to fucking stand up. But yeah, they did. I have the other Ichigo on order too, and I haven't even watched 1,000-Year Blood War yet. But the figures are sick. I just wanted to mess with them. I haven't had time to do much with them yet, but
Hell yeah, dude. No, that's awesome. Congrats on the pickup. I love that werewolf. That's dope.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Chris, we haven't had you on in months, I think, at this point. Has there been anything that's come to your just collection room in general that you've been like super hyped about?
I don't know, man. A lot of stuff is like shipping soon, but I got a couple things I can show you. Small scale stuff. Like these, if it will focus for me, these Indiana Jones retros have been going on clearance, so I've been picking up those, the ones that are remakes. This is Belloc. He's basically a collector who wants to, instead of put it in a museum, sell it for money. So he's cool. He's wearing culturally appropriated
He's a scout.
costume, and he's funny. And so the first wave of those, which hopefully it stays on, these were all made back in the 80s, and they're like a couple $100 each, loose even, and carded around 1,000 each. So it's a cool. I'm gonna display them all loose because the cards don't look that accurate, but the figures are pretty accurate.
I love
And
how
they're
they give you I love how they
Go
give
ahead.
you the guy that gets hit by the airplane propeller.
Well, there's one they left out called Cairo Swordsman, which is basically a guy with a turban and a big sword. So I don't know. They thought that wasn't gonna
Was
work.
that the guy he shoots in the
Yeah,
market?
It's
Yeah.
the guy who just gets shot after he learned a whole choreographed fight, but because Harrison Ford was ill, they didn't do it.
Yeah, he had food
And here's
poisoning
another
that
thing.
day, I think, right?
Yeah. So this one is this. So this isn't for me, but I met up with Billy Badfish at a convention that I was set up at a Star Wars con, and a guy sent me this. This is a 1978 R5D4. Retail value probably like $700 before it got signed by Roger Christian, and now it's probably worth about $200. But the guy who sent me it
Wild.
was very insistent on having it signed, and I thought that was funny, so I'd show you guys. But yeah,
So the signature devalued the
Yep.
collectible then.
Yep, and I
Damn.
tried to, and I explained that to Roger Christian as he was signing it, and it broke his brain. It was great.
Interesting, because if you don't have somebody that's like certified there, right, that can be like, this is a certified signature sort of thing.
Even so, it's just like comics where it's like exactly, you couldn't grade it, and also you have to really know your stuff to even understand that Roger Christian vaguely designed R5D4 because he also designed R2. It's a deep cut. Yeah.
Gotcha. No, all great pickups, boys. Let us know in the chat, guys, too, if you've picked up anything that you're most excited about this week. I would love to hear from you guys. I hear from Moose every once in a while, but I haven't seen the rest of you guys chiming in yet. So if there's anything you guys picked up, let me know. Let's stick to this last warm-up here before we say hello to everybody, because we've got almost 40 people watching already here, which is awesome. Thanks for getting nuts with us here on Sunday. This popped up, and this was just kind of a callback for me. So this is the remake of Max Payne 1 and 2 are now in full production. I've actually been playing Max Payne 1 on PlayStation 5 recently again. It's one of my old school, like, kind of favorite games from back in the day, and I think it was a favorite because I was way too young to actually play this game when it originally came out. So it is like super violent. The drug content in it is pretty wild. There are things like strippers and like murder and like all of the things. So all of the red flag words for YouTube that I don't want to get into. But if they remake this one, I would be interested in it, as long as they kind of, you know, keep it faithful to the original. I never liked Max Payne 2. I would only really care about Max Payne 1. But I was curious if there are any games from your guys' past, even if you're not a huge gamer now, is there any games from the past that you wish that they would revisit? So, and give you just at least an upgraded version that you could play through again. For me, one of those games is Splinter Cell. I loved Splinter Cell back in the day. The original one. I would love to go back and revisit that world. Again, love Splinter Cell.
I used to love playing Splinter Cell and tase people until they caught on fire. Oh my god. Maybe a little sadistic, but it was so fun.
That's awesome. Start with you then, Dean. Is there any games that from your past that you would love to see them to revisit?
You know, a few years ago, I would have said Final Fantasy VII. And I'm still saying Final Fantasy VII because that remake is bullshit. As good as it is, it's not a remake. It's a sequel. Fuck that thing. As much as I do, again, love it, it's like a love-hate thing I have for it. So, Final Fantasy VII and Legend of Dragoon is in a desperate need of a remake. That game is so good.
Oh, that's a great one. Yeah. Hell yeah. What about you, Chris? Any old games that you'd love to see a revisit on?
Oh my god, dude. All right, so this week just came out the Night Dive, I think it's Night Dive Studio. They've been doing a lot of these old Xbox remasters. They just put out Bounty Hunter, which is like this Django Fett game from like 23 years ago.
I remember it.
And this is one of the only I don't play on PC or have Steam. This is one of the only good old LucasArts games I never played, and I'm knee deep in it right now. And it's like as if I had a wish from a genie to force all the 90s LucasArts employees to make a brand new game just for me in the style of the early 2000s. It's crazy, man. It's so good. There's so much stuff in it. I'm shocked it's not censored by Disney and all these things. Like, it's just Django. It's basically Vice City Django Fett. It doesn't even make any sense that it's allowed to exist. Like, the morally ambiguous things that you can do are just appalling. But as Django Fett, and just scripts that would, I cannot believe they didn't change it, because, you know, there was a lot of stuff getting, you know, it's like you recently had the Tomb Raider 1 to 3 come out, and like those were pretty faithful. Those that got mostly good reviews, but they did an update that like censored some stuff, and then they immediately apologized for it and put it back. So they are looking at this sort of thing, and I think it had a trigger warning at the start of Tomb Raider, believe it or not. But yeah, man, if I had to ask for one that hasn't been done yet, it's another LucasArts. It's called Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2. It's like 1997. It's the only game in that series that hasn't had a re-release or a remaster. I don't know why. It's just that early era of 3D PC games. Maybe it's difficult for them to work with and do it like a updated graphics. I don't know, but it's the second game of the Kyle Katarn series, and I would love to play that again with a fresh coat of paint.
And you're still hoping for that Kyle Katarn figure, I know, right? So
I don't think that's going to happen, but hopefully.
I don't think it will.
Yeah.
There is it's a community-driven project, but there is a remaster of that game on PC. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, I might resort to that. Yeah.
Mike, were you ever much of a gamer? Anything that you think back and you go, man, I would love to play that game again if they could give it to us?
Yeah, and I was just trying to think of that. Yeah, I've played video games my whole life. I can't really think of anything. I feel like the low-hanging fruit for me would be like Republic Commando. I think that's an easy pick, but I'd love to see that thing updated. And who knows, maybe now with them showing up on Bad Batch and putting out figures, maybe there's a chance of them doing that. Or I was going to say a sequel, but that may not work. But they,
at least you can
Disney
get it
Star
now.
Wars, they can get something. Yeah, I picked it up last year when they released it, and it's still amazing. But yeah, if they could bump that up to modern day graphics, and that would be pretty sweet.
Hell yeah, dude. No, good call. Good call. We have X-Men Supreme dropping in a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, good sir, for your generosity. He says, for years, I've wanted a Legend of Dragoon remake. Hell yeah, Dean. Well said there, Dean. Shouting that. And this is for you, of course, X-Men.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, good sir. Definitely appreciate you there. Guys, let's move on because we still have quite a bit of 6-scale news and some entertainment news that I do want to jump into. Unless anybody else had a call out for game that they were like, I have to say this out loud. Forever hold your peace otherwise. Let me know in the private chat. But let's say hi to everybody out there in the interwebs.
Is that everyone? What do you want even more?
Nuts!
Assemble.
Guys, we have so many good people here with us today. We got Noble Young in the chat with us first on the chat today. Good to see you, buddy. We've got 12-inch Moose Stream himself. He says, hello, community of collectors. DX, Jazzinc Diorama, Millennium Falcon Cockpit is coming. Crazy. And Moose was telling me a little bit about his actual collection. I've been encouraging him to share as many photos as possible once he gets those unboxed, because it sounds like he's got a treasure trove in his place. So good to see you, buddy. Make sure you share those with us when you can. We got Action Figure Academy here, one of our channel members. Good evening, Benjamin. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for popping in. Sith Scale Collector here in the chat as well as on the panel. Good to see you, Mike. Thanks for being here, buddy. We got Eclectic Collector here. Hello, everyone. Good to see you. Vintage Rebellion Podcast. Chris is here with some popcorn and some eyes. You love to see that. He's looking at us through the kernels. We got Loku Lu here in the chat with a what's poppin', people. Love to see you, buddy. Thanks so much for being here. Of course, I still don't do it justice, but I'll always try. We got Rachel Miller, my mom, and a channel member here with us as well. How's it going, Mom? Good to see you here. Love you. I'm glad you were able to join us. We got Jose G. Hernandez in the chat with us. We gotta get you back. We haven't seen you in a while, buddy. You're elusive, just like Eddie was. I was able to hold him down on this one. Maybe I'll be able to get you back here soon, but good to see you, bud. We got Thalia Meyer in the chat with a hello, everyone. Good to see you. Who else we got? We got King Dingaling, one of our channel members. What's up, guys? Good to see you here, buddy. Thanks for popping in. Of course, we've got X-Men Supreme with us. He says, wow, I'm late. 2 whole pods of Yellow Jackets decided to try and set up shop right at my front door and swarm me as I was leaving for food earlier. Been a war this whole time. I hope you are okay, sir. That does not sound nice at all. And also mentioned can't air small brush pack, so I'm going to take a look into that because, yeah, I don't want to damage that DeLorean by trying to get the dust off of it. We got Honest Hansel, one of our channel members here as well. Holy nuts, there are a ton of speakers today. Yeah, we have a lot of folks here to get through, so I'm glad everybody could join. We got Cylon in the chat as well with a nut, and hi, everyone. Good to see you here as well. And, of course, last but not least from what I can see, Yomo. What's up, everyone? Hope your little one is doing well, buddy, and the wife as well. Actually, I think it was Yomo's birthday recently as well, so happy belated if that's the case. But guys, if for some housekeeping here, if you are interested in becoming a channel member, Dean the Dream Martin, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, has provided the show with all of these very, very cool member badges that show up beside your name when you're a channel member through the progression of months that you're a channel member with us. I just recently switched out the 1 to 2 month range there for the Deadpool or Nut Pool, and then the Bub Nut as well. So far, I've kept it at Bub Nut, but I may still change it based on some suggestions that came rolling in last week. But if you guys are interested in becoming a member, these are some of your badges that will be beside your name, as well as some of the custom emojis that are in there for you as well. Make sure you hit the nut button for me today if you guys can. And also, with 40 people being here, if you don't mind, guys, please hit the like button. It just helps drive some traffic to the show. Last week, we actually hit our channel viewership record for the live stream at 1.4K channel views on the show. So great job on the panel for bringing such a great show, and thanks so much for everybody who shared it and liked it. Always very appreciated. We have 40 channel members to read out today. I'm going to read you guys all out at the end of the show because I do want to keep the pace going while we got everybody here. But thank you so much to the Tough Nut crew, everybody that is included and helps pay for that membership as well. Really, really appreciate you guys. But let's move on to our first entertainment news topic because I want to get to the 6-scale stuff as well. Channing Tatum confirms Gambit movie conversations. I'm talking to Kevin, being obviously Kevin Feige. And I'm curious what you guys had to say about this. Now that we've all, I think for the most part, had a chance to watch Deadpool, there will be some Deadpool spoilers here. It's been weeks now, so if anybody hasn't seen it, I apologize. We are going to talk a little Deadpool as well. But, of course, Channing Tatum as Gambit did show up in Deadpool and Wolverine. And he was an unexpected surprise for me. I thought maybe he would be in there. But in terms of cameos, I thought his fight scene was cool. I actually did think his accent was kind of fun. A little tough to understand, but when isn't Gambit a little hard to understand? But to be honest, I don't feel like I have any desire to actually see a movie featuring this character. I liked what we saw even from X-Men 97 and that storyline with Gambit there, but for a live action, doesn't do anything for me. In fact, I'd actually rather see an old Blade come back and give us a Wesley Snipes Blade film instead. So I was curious, Chris, what are your thoughts on a Channing Tatum Gambit film potentially, if that could actually be greenlit by somebody like Kevin Feige? Would that be something you'd be interested in?
I'll be short but sweet on this. Like, that's one of the first Marvel movies I've seen in a long time. I think I don't know how many there's been between No Way Home and this, but that's the gap for me. But I just, this is a throwaway character. You know what else this movie made me realize? That I don't need another Blade with Wesley Snipes because he's now 60 years old, and I still have those other 3 movies that are good, and I can just watch them whenever I want, and it's almost a meme at this point.
Legit.
And if they did this, they would probably tone down that accent because it was delivered for comic effect, basically. I mean, I don't know. I feel like they sort of missed the window on this, and I don't know if it's kind of going to be a meme movie if it happens after that cameo, so I'm not that into it personally, but it was a fun little slice in that movie, and I'm not trying to say it wasn't, but there's a time and a place.
That's fair. That's fair. You almost said my little one as well. He's sitting with me watching the show. We'll try and keep swearing and nut conversations to a minimum then. I don't want to be a bad influence here on the Bedtime Show. But no, yeah, well said. Well said, Grizz. Weird criticism of this character in the movie. I didn't like how slicked over his hair was. It's such a stupid criticism, but I thought it needed to be a little bit more like flowy and wild. And it was a little too combed over for me. I thought he looked too tailored. But Eddie, I know you were a huge fan of this new Deadpool and Wolverine film. And you've seen it a couple times now. It's had some time to digest for you. Seeing a character like Gambit make a return in that film, is that something you'd like to see an actual movie of this character for? Or do you think that that's stretching a little bit?
I thought he was cool in the movie. I thought it was like a cool throw in that like he was supposed to get it and never did, and I liked how they had all of those characters was like getting their justice for another time on screen, and so I think I agree more with Chris. Like I enjoyed it for what it was. I don't think I need him specifically in his own movie, because I don't know how well it would work. Maybe it would be awesome. You know, I really liked the portrayal of Gambit in X-Men Wolverine Origins. I like that actor that played him, and I thought
Same.
I'd much rather see that character get his own movie. I think it would be more interesting for me. But if it happens, it's cool. You know, I'm not gonna say that I don't want it to happen, but I'm not like super looking forward to it either. I've never been like a huge Gambit fan, but it was definitely cool for at least that movie.
You know, I was disappointed because the original Rogue from the X-Men film never really truly felt like Rogue to me. I like the actress, and you know, I like those films for what they were, but like when you think about X-Men 97 or even the original X-Men animated show, like that was the Rogue that I would have really liked to come, you know, to fruition or see. And it would have been cool to get a different variant of Rogue in this film if they had had that opportunity, because I think if Gambit had been shown with a Rogue that we were all like, oh, she's fun, that would have actually amped up maybe my excitement for that, because I do always really appreciate and enjoy their chemistry as characters. But we never got that, so to me, I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't know if this is one that I'd really want to see that badly. What about you, Mike? Is this something, you know, character-wise that you'd be like, I could see it, I could see a story there, or cool cameo, leave it at that, Marvel? What are your thoughts?
No, I'm with the other guys. Really enjoyed it. I think he did a great job. To Chris's point, you know, everything about him he kind of nailed the tone of what that movie was going for with the accent and everything. I thought he did great. But yeah, I do kind of think, as far as, you know, wherever Marvel may go with X-Men, I think he may be you know, aged out a little bit. And I would just kind of like them to see something all fresh and new, right? I mean, that's kind of my hesitant with Hugh Jackman still playing Wolverine too. And as much as I love him, you know, I want to see him kind of go in a new cast, new direction, you know, as part of the team. Yeah, I definitely want to see Gambit there. But as far as a solo movie, it doesn't do anything for me. And to Eddie's point, I thought I was the only one who actually felt that way. But I thought Taylor Kitsch's Gambit was incredible for that movie. I think a lot of that movie was good, except for, you know, some of the plot points in the ending. But the casting and stuff in that film, it was incredible. Not to get sidetracked, but yeah, I know he wants to do it, but I really just think it's a timing thing, and I think he missed his window. So sure, I'd go see it, but it's not something I'd look for.
It's too bad. I would see it too, but yeah, it wouldn't be something that I would be on the hunt for. And it's funny you mentioned the Wolverine Origins movie, I should say, because that is actually one of my favorite PS3 video games of all time. Even though the film wasn't amazing, that Wolverine game is wild. For its time, you can dismember people, like cut them in half, chop their legs off. Like, it's exactly what you would want out of being able to play as Wolverine. If you guys have a PS3 that's collecting dust somewhere in a cabinet and you can track that game down and have never played it, it's fun. It still even holds up. And that's actually a game, even talking about remaking or updating some of the graphics on, I would 100% revisit that game again. But Sony's also supposed to be giving us a Wolverine game at some point, so I guess we'll find out. Classy Thomas, I know you're a huge comics guy. I don't even know if you've actually seen Deadpool and Wolverine yet, but is this a character you would love to see on the big screen?
I haven't seen it yet. I'm actually going to wait until it's released on Disney Plus and watch it then. I still don't do theaters, but I've seen the spoilers that have shown this Gambit, and I'm glad that Channing Tatum got the opportunity. But unless they're planning on bringing this variant into the MCU, he does not need his own movie. The whole purpose of doing a reboot is starting fresh and giving us new life, and I'm glad that they were able to bring homage to the old Fox characters and basically show respect to some of the ones who actually were the beginning of this whole superhero genre that we're all enjoying now. But yeah, and to Mike and Eddie's point, I felt the same way. Taylor Kitsch was the person who I thought was an excellent Gambit. And if I were going to see a movie with somebody in there, I would have preferred to see him. But yeah, we don't need a solo movie. Now, if they were going to try and do things with movies to introduce new characters of the X-Men, kind of like what they did with the Avengers, where they did an Iron Man, Captain America, and then they assembled the team. If they did a movie that kind of showed Gambit and Rogue, that might be an interesting, because they have a lot of, in the comic books, they have a lot of their own solo features in the comic books where it's the two of them. But a solo movie, I'm not feeling it.
That's fair. No, well said, Classy. As always, of course. Guys, let us know in the comments, is this a film that you would like to see them make? Maybe you have an idea for what that story could look like that could blow us all away. If you guys send me a comment and I think it's awesome, I will feature that on Nets, the next episode of Let's Get Nuts. But I would like to hear from you guys if you think this film should happen or not. Now, I'm excited because I've got my Star Wars friends here with me as well. I saw this pop up through IGN this week as well, and I thought it was interesting. So Diego Luna says, Andor Season 2 will turn Rogue One into a completely different film. I thought that was interesting coming from him. Obviously, Andor, I thought was a fantastic show for the most part. I think, Eddie, you're the one that's on the divisive fence with Andor, if I'm not mistaken. But I like the show. I think it's wild that we never got a Cassian Andor in Hot Toys form yet or ever. Like, are we ever going to get one? I think that's wild. Mommy Bix, I think, needed to be a Hot Toys figure for most of us as well. Let's be honest. But I'm disappointed we never saw the figure side of it. I am still really excited for an Andor Season 2, though. I think that there's still quite a bit of meat on the bone in terms of story. But I know that for a lot of Star Wars fans, Rogue One is one of their favorite Star Wars films now of all time. For me, it's up there, probably in the top 5. It definitely wouldn't be in the top 3 for me, but still enjoyed it either way. Now, there's no context here behind this statement. So I was just curious if this makes my Star Wars friends who love Rogue One a little bit nervous. So, Eddie, I'll start with you first, because I know you like Rogue One, but didn't love Andor. So what are your thoughts here, buddy?
Yeah, for me, it's, I don't really care that much. I don't even know if I'll watch it, to be honest. Like, I'm not saying it won't be good. Maybe it'll be different than Season 1. There will be more, I don't know, to draw me into it. But because I don't care for Andor Season 1 and everybody's always like, oh, it's so good, it's so good. I'm like, maybe I should go back and try it again. But I really just don't want to. It's just so boring, dude. It's just not my kind of Star Wars. So I don't really care. I love Diego Luna. I love that character. And yeah, I did love Rogue One. So it is what it is. And it could be just that I have less patience to sit down and watch movies and shows nowadays, so like I have to have a general interest just to keep me going. But yeah, like it's not like I'm mad that they're wasting their time on this. Like, I get that people love the show and that it leads into Rogue One, so it's cool for everybody. It's cool it's happening. With everything that's coming out nowadays, I don't need to watch everything. I can't even get around to everything, so it's exciting for those that are happy about it, I guess.
I've always subscribed, though, to the whole, like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And if Rogue One was already such a great film,
too.
Why try to change the feeling of the lead up to it, or like what, like make it a totally different film is like a pretty aggressive statement. Like, how is that even going to be the case? Chris, what are your takes on this? Because I know, again, big Star Wars guy. What were your thoughts on Andor specifically, and then what this might do to Rogue One specifically?
Well, I don't know, man. I that still blows my mind that me and Eddie pretty much agree about everything except Andor, I think, in all of life. I don't know what the deal with that is, but it's I think Andor is like the only Star Wars Disney Plus show that's like actually a show. I think the rest are like TV movies that are drawn out to 8 episodes filled with nonsense. Andor, I think, was Andor 12 maybe? Like it was definitely longer than most of those shows. But it never felt like, it didn't feel like filler to me. But I think the problem here is an actor is giving a comment that a director should give. I don't need Rogue One to be a different movie. When Andor in Rogue One says that he's been in this fight since he was 6 years old, that's all I need to know. I somehow don't think this is going to make it any different for me. We already saw him in jail for like 6 months, like being tortured and electrocuted. Like that's enough motivation for everything he does in Rogue One as it is. You know what I mean? How much more suffering? That's what I like about that show. It's really just Andor going through it, a bunch of crap and just like misery being poured on Andor. That's what that show is. How much worse can it get for him? It looked the season 2 from what I've seen from what they showed at D23 actually looks a little lighter than the first season. It's like him and K2SO just driving around, and Krennic's there, but he's not going to die because he's in the movie. It's like whatever. Andor season 1 was good. I feel like it's not going to be as good as season 1 because season 1 is like blue sky. What can we do? Let's just try anything. We know we're going to have another season to wrap it up. And now they're just like, instead of doing 3 or 4 seasons, we want to close it out in 2. So we're just trying to target tying up with Rogue One. And I think that's not a great creative place to be. So I'm going to watch it because I think Andor is the best Disney Plus show, but I doubt it will be as good as season 1.
Yeah, it almost feels like they're using the Rogue One in the title just to try and hook people who didn't give Andor maybe a chance, right? And X-Men Supreme here says, well, now it's IGN, and notice this quote didn't say completely different. They added the completely, so I'll bet in context, it's a lot less of a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
And
one other thing. It's going to be funny to see Andor like 5 minutes before Rogue One, but 10 years older than he was when they filmed Rogue One. That's all.
Super weird. Yeah, that's going to be a bit of a strange one. And X-Men, I expect you and Jose out there to vet me in the chat. So, this is for you guys.
Right, okay, people, you have to tell me these things, all right? I've been frozen for 30 years, okay? Throw me a frickin' bone here. I'm the boss. Need the info. Okay, no problem.
Okay, no problem. That's okay. No problem. Dean, what about you, buddy? I know you're a big Star Wars guy. I know you liked Andor from my recollection, but then haven't liked a lot of the other Star Wars. Are you worried that a season 2 could actually hurt Rogue One, or are you excited to see how this goes?
Well, the nice thing about Andor, it was handled by the same guy, or I think the same team that did Rogue One, the movie. So it felt like a cohesive story. Like you could see where it's going. So it doesn't really worry me too much, but yeah, it's kind of like, well, if they keep the same formula, I think season 2 of Andor should be fine. But if they fuck around too much, yeah, I feel like it would definitely suffer the same fate as most of the other Disney shows.
Everywhere too, yeah.
Because Andor is very much like, and I don't want to sound like pretentious or demeaning in any way, but like Ahsoka is it's like it's a kid's show. Like it feels like the cartoon Rebels, just live action. Andor doesn't feel like a kid's show. Andor is it's politically driven. There's a lot of dialogue and nuanced discussions and characters, and it's not just like bad guys lose to the good guys and lightsabers are cool. There are no real like Jedi characters in it, so it's not as action oriented as the other shows.
True.
Like Eddie is all
I feel personally attacked right now.
No, and I enjoy like a good Star Wars show, right? Like Clone Wars is fucking fun because it's, fucking explosions and clones and droids. Like, I don't mind that stuff, but Andor just isn't that. So if they turn it into that, I feel like it could be like, oh, that's kind of icky. But we'll see.
We'll see. Freddie, I feel like that was a truly devastating take.
All right, he's going, and oh no! Oh, it's an upset with the nuts. Truly devastating.
Truly devastating. Truly devastating.
Is that your
take.
voice?
Yes. Yeah, it is.
For sure.
I decided to go
was,
British because what announcer isn't a little British?
If I
Let's
was
be honest.
Pete or Ian, I'd be highly upset by that clip right there.
Pete was in the chat, so we'll see if I get any angry messages after. All great points, guys. Let us know in the chat or in the comments after the show if you're watching on replay. Are you nervous about this take from Diego Luna? Maybe was he just, using too aggressive of language here? Maybe the sentence is out of context and there really won't be that much to worry about, like Eddie had a feeling for. But I'd be curious to see what you guys think of it. Now, I wanted to highlight this before we get into the figure news. Deadpool and Wolverine passes Joker to become the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time. Congratulations to Ryan Reynolds, the Reynolds family, Hugh Jackman, everybody that was associated with that film. I do think it was an awesome movie. I still have not seen it a second time, which is wild. So I still have to get that in the repertoire. But I do feel like I was not totally surprised. I think the Deadpool Wolverine film had a better opportunity to be more of that 4-quadrant film where, even though there was an R-rated attached to it, clearly kids were going to go in with their parents. Different generations of folks who have been watching Hugh Jackman for the last 25 years were going to show up and see him make a return. I think there was a great opportunity for this. They just hit it a lot faster than I expected. But the question really is, and I'll just keep it to a couple panel members on this one, do you feel like it's deserving of being now recognized as the highest grossing film of all time? Keep in mind, that has more to do with the money involved, not necessarily the quality of the film. But it's going to hold some records for however long. Like, who knows how long this will hold this record spot for. Do you guys feel good about it holding that record spot? Eddie, I'll stick with you on this one because I know you are a huge Deadpool and Wolverine fan. Do you think it deserves that highest grossing R-rated movie of all time title?
Yeah, 100% it does. Dude, it's too good. I know you guys have, and everybody has their own personal issues with like the story as a whole, but yeah, dude, it's way too good to. I mean, I feel like Hugh and Ryan deserve it just for like, especially Ryan, like everything that he did to pay homage to the fans, and like, I don't know why that's a bad thing. Like, I'll call him out. Marco said in the chat that he felt like it was more of like a nostalgia hit, and that's why everybody loves it. Like that's what it was meant to be. So like, and that's what we need right now, like, because that's what the other shows aren't giving us, and it's made for us, like it was finally a film made for the people watching it, not just a film made to a certain agenda or to just be put out. So like, I think it's 100% deserving, and I think it goes to show like Marvel and Disney and everybody, like, to do shit like this and people will pay to go watch it, and you guys will be on the top again, And like the Joker, same thing. Like, that story is way better, right? That story is a great story or whatever, and people still hated on that because it wasn't true to the DC Joker, and like, so it's like, everybody's gonna bitch about something for it not being. Sorry, I know we said it. Everybody's gonna complain about something.
There
but,
are babies watching.
Yes, my bad.
Yes.
So yeah, I think it's deserving, and we get a chance to see maybe Joker 2 will come back on top. We'll see.
I was wondering about that. Yeah, Mike, what are your thoughts here about Deadpool and Wolverine kind of crossing this highest grossing R-rated film of all time? Do you feel like it's deserving if you've seen the film, and do you think Joker 2 could actually overtake it now that getting back to the theater has been a bit more of a fun experience for people again?
Yeah, I think Eddie's dead on. I mean, how they got there's kind of irrelevant, right? I mean, yeah, so they stood on the shoulders of, 20 plus movies or, however many they got there to do that. But they gave us exactly what they promised, right? I mean, I think there's a time and a place for the films where they lean all into fan service and nostalgia. And I mean, this was exactly it, right? I mean, this is what they've been teasing us with, and they nailed it. So yeah, they deserve it. As far as the Joker, I think, the Joker, when, being, ahead of that, I think it deserves its praise too, right? I mean, on such a dark movie, such a different turn, such a different way to get to that same $1 billion spot, deserves a lot of praise too. As far as Joker 2 coming in and, whether it could top Deadpool and Wolverine, man, Deadpool and Wolverine isn't even done yet. And that's the scary part, right? I mean, it's been 3 weeks, and my daughter said to me earlier they were at the movies for something else, and she said people were talking about some of the Deadpool screenings are sold out today on a Sunday afternoon. So they're still selling crazy tickets. So who knows where it's going to land, but I mean, Joker 2 maybe because it's going to stand on the shoulders of the first one too, but it's obviously a much different film, great in its own way, but it's kind of hard to compare them both, you know. I mean, they both deserve the praise of getting where they went.
Great point about it still going, because I think that's 100% right. You know, Dean, in terms of rewatchability, I would say that Deadpool definitely has that rewatchability factor. Because I've only seen it once, I'm sure there are so many jokes and nods that I didn't even notice the first time. Whereas even Joker 1, I never really felt like it had that rewatchability factor for me. I found it very dark and a little depressing. And once I saw it the first time, I felt like I was pretty much good with it. Do you think Deadpool deserves the top spot here now? And do you think Joker 2 could overtake it? Or do you agree on that rewatchability side?
Yeah, I think Eddie kind of nailed it. Like, because that was kind of my problem with like episode 7 and Spider-Man No Way Home, is it leans on the nostalgia to like improve, like, oh, that movie is so cool. Like the first time you see the Falcon, you're like, yeah, right? Like it's cool.
Totally.
Yep. Like without a doubt. But like the 8th or 9th, 10th time you watch the movie, you're like, okay, I get it. Like, get to the Falcon. Like, it doesn't need fucking like 15 seconds of screen time to.
You've seen that movie 10 times? Oh my god!
Before it got ruined, yeah, I watched it a lot. And there's a lot of stuff like that about the movie that it like takes. It almost takes you out of the movie. Like, look at this, guys. And you guys remember the Green Goblin? You know? And it's like, okay, I get it. And this movie does do that. But like Eddie said, that's almost the point of the movie.
Dude.
So
when that South Park episode, you're made a member berry reference. I just have to chime in here. The South Park member berries, when they said Mimba the Tantive 4, I almost like died inside. It's like what percentage of the audience even knows what the Tantive 4 is? God bless them, but sorry about that.
No, you're good.
No, it's good.
And like the point of the movie is a love letter to everything that came before, and at a time where they've kind of just dug themselves into a fucking hole, making dog shit for themselves rather than the audience. Like the people working on these movies. Sorry. The people working on these movies, it's like self-insert characters. It's like, what do you call it? Like fan fiction come to life. Like, oh, I'm in a position where I can make this movie however I want. And if the audience doesn't like it, too bad, it's my thing. And audiences are like, okay, well, we don't have to support it. We're not gonna, keep buying your product. Whereas I think Ryan Reynolds started off as a fan of this character. I mean, it was almost like he said it like 100 times. He's like, I was like born to play this character. And he respects, where it comes from and who's paying the bills. And this movie is kind of like, hey guys, it's not all bad. And I think it should be rewarded. And to be fair, when I went into this movie, I was like, it's Disney. There's no way it's going to be as bad as the first movie or the second movie. I thought maybe a couple F words here and there, and it would be funny, him kind of walking around the issue, breaking the fourth wall. But holy crap, they really went hard on this movie. And I was like totally blown away by what they pulled off. So yeah, I think it totally deserves every ounce of acclaim it can get, especially, like I said, right now in the ether of the world, I guess.
And all the Deadpool movies have been fan service, right? I mean, it's kind of been the joke, right? In the first one, he goes into the X Mansion and gets, X-Men. The second one, or even at the end of he comes out at the post-credit scenes and flat out tells you, we're going to give you cable, come on back, and then the second one's the same way. You see the other X-Men, hiding in the room behind them. So it's not, but if anything, paying attention.
Yeah, no, well said. Now, Chris, I'd be curious on your take here as well, because, of course, you're a huge Star Wars fan, and you've heard lots of people in the community over the years say, you know, I don't like this new Star Wars because they're just giving us member-berry service and not a good story. But I would argue that I didn't actually love the story of Deadpool and Wolverine. I thought it was fun, and I thought it was enjoyable. But in terms of story, I would have still kind of given it a 7 out of 10. Everything else, in terms of fun factor, seeing the characters again, all of that stuff, absolutely freaking loved it. But do you feel like fans are a little hypocritical when they grill these other franchises so aggressively for what they say is bad writing and fan service, and yet a film like this is now the #1 grossing R-rated film of all time?
Well, I might be the as usual, I'll be the pariah in this case. You know, it was entertaining, but I think it was a bit safe, to be honest. Deadpool and Wolverine. I think it was safe. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it shows you, like, there's, you know, I mean, I don't need to, you know, this is not a political podcast, but there's certain no-go zones that they didn't go anywhere near. You know, you can talk about drug use, but there's just some stuff that's, by any normal person's standard, a lot more mild than drug use that they wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. And I don't need to even tell you guys what that is. It is what it is. But I think it was safe, and I think it was it was safer than Deadpool 1, in my opinion, although I had a good time, and I think they should try more rated R films. If we can have rated R MCU films, make the stupid Star Wars horror movie where Wampas murder a bunch of people in Echo Base. Like, do something silly and just take my money, you know what I mean? But I'm glad that it's making money, and I'm glad. The best thing about it, in my opinion, is that it's getting parents to, you know, take their kids to a rated R film as God intended.
Fair enough. As intended. Guys, well said. That does it for the entertainment section of the show today.
Excuse
Classy.
me.
Hey, I put it in the private chat. I was like, Classy, do you have a point on this?
I put it in the private chat. I said,
Did you?
I said, send
Shit.
me in, coach.
You hate to see it. Sorry, Classy. Tell me what you're thinking on Deadpool versus Joker here. Joker
Yeah.
2, do you think this deserves that top spot?
Well, my thoughts are very simple on this. It says that it passed the Joker by becoming the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time. Of course they deserved it. They made more money.
Fair.
That's the only thing that's with this. It's not saying whether or not it's a better film or something like that. It's just, you know, it's saying that it passed them in terms of box office receipts. So yeah, I mean, of course they deserve it, and it's going to continue to rise. So yeah, they definitely deserve it. Now, as far as like the offerings of the movie, I mean, people can debate that, but yeah, made tons more money, so it definitely deserves that place.
That's a great point, honestly, right? I mean, money speaks all languages. If it hit those numbers, it hit them for a reason, and people keep going back and seeing it over and over again. I also think Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds are easy people to root for, right?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
they seem like lovely people just in general. If that is their just, you know, on-stage performance and their assholes behind the scenes, I guess we'll never know. But honestly, they always seem very, very genuine. And again, they're pretty easy dudes to root for. So I'm very happy to see that this hit for them. 100%. No, well said, Classy, of course. Guys, we're at the halfway point of the show. We have 50 people watching live. Thank you so much for getting nuts, I should say, with us here today on Sunday. If you guys don't mind, if you're just joining in, please hit the like button if you don't mind, and share the content if you can, just to bring some more traffic into the Let's Get Nuts show for next week. But let's get into some 6-scale entertainment news for today, because lots has popped up over the last week, and I'd be curious, and we're going to stick with the theme of Deadpool here first. 16Kit had posted a couple of different things here for us, but the Bald, which is probably one of the funniest figure head sculpt names I've ever heard of, from Present Toys, was put up for us here. And then we saw kind of an in-hand photo of what a head sculpt could look like. Now, I don't know if this is the same head sculpt. To be honest, they look a little different. This one looks worse for some reason than this one. So let me know in the chat, guys, if this is supposed to be the same sculpt. But at the end of the day, it does seem like you'll be able to potentially get one for your Deadpool figure, since officially Hot Toys actually hasn't given us one yet. But I'd be curious, do you think people are going to jump the gun a little bit here? We still don't know everything that we're going to get with the Deadpool Wolverine film in terms of Hot Toys figures. I don't know if we're still gonna get maybe another version, something like a battle damaged version, maybe with the head sculpt or something along those lines. Do you think we should hold off and wait, or do you think if we wait, we're gonna miss our shot here, and then if Hot Toys never gives it to us, we're all gonna feel burned? Eddie, I'll go with you first. If you had a Deadpool and Wolverine coming in, or Deadpool figure coming in, would you actually want to display the nutsack head sculpt, or do you think that this is not necessarily a requirement for display? What are you thinking?
For me personally, I don't need it. I know everybody wants it though, so I would not. I would say I'm like the odd man out in that conversation because I'd much rather him have the mask on, but I know everybody wants it, and I don't think that if you really want it, you're lucky enough to have a Deadpool figure in hand already. So I would say go for it, and don't wait, because even though I think it's pretty safe to say that it would happen, I thought it was safe to say it would happen with this new Deadpool that was already released. So I don't know, maybe they don't want to make this head sculpt. Maybe they I don't know, maybe Hot Toys is doesn't care for it or doesn't think the figure needs it. I don't know why they haven't done it yet, because we have 3. I would think by the 3rd one, that's the one that would get it, but I don't know, maybe they are just trying to milk it. I don't know what they're thinking, but I'm always in the camp of if you can have it now and while you're in love with the movie and everything, that's awesome that you could get it now. I think you should get it now, but I do think there's a possibility it comes later.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Dean, what are your thoughts, buddy? Is this something that you were shocked we didn't already see with the Deadpool figure? Were you not surprised? Do you think this is something we should jump on sooner than later if you feel like this is a desire for your collection, or hold off? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was really shocked we didn't see this with the Hot Toys, because we got Deadpool 1 with no portrait, and then we got 2 Deadpool 2 figures with no portrait. The regular. Oh no, didn't we get? No, we got 2. The
Dusty
battle
Deadpool
damage, and the regular, or Dusty. Yeah. Is that the one with the duct tape stickers? Is that what that was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a great one.
And they could have easily thrown a head sculpt in that with the collar, and they
Yeah.
didn't do that. So when the 3rd one got announced, I was like, oh, they're definitely going to do it now. And they still haven't. So if they do a battle damage version, I feel like it has to be in there. I don't know why it hasn't been included. So unless you want to buy a whole other Deadpool figure, I mean, I'd say go for it. But there's a lot of options for the head sculpt, right? 3D prints. There's a ton on eBay. It's not an impossible thing to get, but if you don't want to have to, the hassle of paying somebody to paint it or paint it yourself, just buy this. I'd say go for it. I personally am always going to keep the mask on, so I don't need this, but I feel like it should have been included. You're mute.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I hate to see it. Normally, StreamYard tells me. No, well said, buddy. Definitely a great point. Now, Mike, I would say if I was going to pick this one up, what I would have actually liked to see is some of the little hair plugs that he had from his wig kind of sticking out. A little bit of, subtle rooting, if you want to call it. But in all honesty, even though I kind of want this for the display, I don't know if I would actually display it like this. I like the look of the mask with Deadpool and the eyes and everything. What are your thoughts here? Is this something that you would chase down if Hot Toys doesn't give us one officially?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, while this one here that you have on screen looks good, first of all, it doesn't look anything like that other one. So if they are supposed to be the same, that would make me
I don't think they are,
super
but
nervous.
I could be wrong.
But that one's so bad. Why is it discolored around the mouth?
I don't
It's
know.
so
There we
weird.
go. There we go.
But no, it's not a look that I would go for. I mean, like anything, it's always good to have a head sculpt included, but then you're going to pay the upcharge for it. And I mean, teach their own, but I wouldn't display mine with that head. I mean, it would be funny, like you said, if you had the little tufts of hair kind of on, or it made it look like they were stapled into his head. But yeah, for
Or even
me,
like the actual wig would have been funny, because I don't think Hot Toys is going to give us one if they give us one with a wig. I think they'll give us the other.
it's almost like they could make one of their, shitty Barbie hair pieces and put it on here, and it would actually work for a change.
100%.
But yeah, no, it's not something I would chase down. But I would say, if you already purchased the Deadpool figure and you want one, yeah, just go get that one instead of waiting and buying a whole nother figure for it, because it could still come, right? I mean, they've dropped a Deadpool figure, I think, every week since it's come out. There's no reason to think they're done. A battle damaged version could show up this week, but you're gonna have to pay another full figure charge for it. So if you go get this.
Yeah, no, well said, Mike, for sure. Now let's stick with that theme, guys, because you're absolutely right, Mike. They have already given us quite a bit. Ladypool has already been officially released, which is wild. So with Deadpool and Ladypool, that's some of the fastest turnaround I think I've ever seen Hot Toys give us for the majority of figures. I mean, oftentimes as collectors, we're used to going to see a film, absolutely loving the film, and then having to wait to sometimes even 3 years before we can put that collectible in our collection. I'm still waiting for my in-art The Batman. And what that movie came out in 2021 now or something like that? Like, that's like at least 2 years ago, if not 3 years ago. I'm getting to the point where I'm going to have to rewatch the movie just to rebuild my hype again when that thing shows up. Ladypool is here, and, it's hard because I want to love this. I want to love it. But I thought that the film was going to sell me more on having a collectible in my display for her than it did. From, kind of the teases, I thought she was going to be kind of a primary character. And she really wasn't. She didn't have much screen time. It was pretty light in terms of story. And she didn't do very much. Now, voiced by Blake Lively, I don't know if she was actually in the suit or not. It did say in the credits that she was at least voiced by her. I do think it's cool that, Ryan Reynolds got his wife in here with him, in this final film, as well as their 2 children, which is interesting. We'll look at some of those photos here shortly. I like the Uzis that she comes with. They remind me of the ones that came with my Matrix Neo figure all those years ago. To be honest, same paint applications even, so I don't think they've made much change there. But seeing her come with the Deadpool dog, or the dog pool, as well as baby pool, I think is kind of fun. All being included, I should say. Obviously, Deadpool is the one that comes with baby pool. Having them as a family on your display, I think if you're a huge fan of the Reynolds family, then I can see the appeal of maybe having this in your display. But otherwise, I think I can talk myself out of it. Chris, I'd be curious to see what your thoughts are on a Ladypool here.
I think you sort of alluded to my controversial take in your comment on the Batman. I feel like if this, I don't know, for me, I guess you guys just go crazy on 1/6 stuff, but like for me, if you're even like not sure why, like if you need something to come out close to when the movie did for you to like properly enjoy it, I feel like you're in too extravagant of a category of collectibles. Like I feel like you'd leave this stuff for the all-time greats, you know what I mean? And this is like super minor cameo. It's like Channing Tatum is like 10x the relevance to the film that this is, and he's not important to the film, you know what I mean? It's like this is you barely see her, and it's like I think they did this because it's they could reuse some of the R&D from the Deadpool ones. They're probably material reuse. The head sculpt's very similar. There, it was probably an easy thing to do, no likeness rights, and that's why you're getting it so fast, because there's not a lot of production issues with creating something like this. That's my guess, but I think to me it's like, I mean, I understand that there's a lot of collectors who have vast 1/6 collections, but this is just too off the relevant path for me to think it's a good idea. But it has its audience, and obviously something to do with Blake Lively actually being Ryan Reynolds' wife is influencing people to buy this. Otherwise, I think it would be even less relevant. But it's a bridge too far for me.
Bit of a bridge too far. No, well said. Absolutely. Jose says she was not in the suit, Ben. Thank you for the clarity. Definitely didn't think so, but wasn't too sure. I think she's a little more thick in a good way than I think that the person who was playing that character in the film, which is why I was like, I don't think that's Blake Lively. But Mr. Misashi has a great question here as well. It says, the Ben Thomas Show, would you want this and more if it had a Blake Lively head sculpt? For me, the answer is absolutely yes. I think that would be more appealing for sure. Classy Thomas, what are your thoughts here on Lady Pool? Now, I know you haven't seen the film yet, so it's a little harder to have some clarity on like her appearance in the movie. But you're a Deadpool guy. Is this something that you would like to see in a display for you?
Absolutely. And I've already ordered her, and the reason why is not because of the movie. I've ordered her because of the comics. Like my motivation is mainly different than most people, because a lot of people want to recreate movie moments and have that representation to remind them of the movies. I like to have representation of the characters from the comic books, and that's what I go for. And as a matter of fact, before, I wasn't sure they were going to release a Lady Pool, and I was looking for I think it was a third-party Lady Pool that they had available, and I was considering purchasing that. And as soon as she released, I just ended search, hit the button, and ordered her, because I was like, yeah. And then when I saw the kid pool and all this other stuff, I said, oh, I can have a Deadpool family, and that'll be kind of fun. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it marks all the things for me. But it doesn't have to mark it as a representation of the movie, because that's never been a motivation. If I like the costume and I like the way the character was portrayed in the movie, that's just extra. But I want a representation of the character because it reminds me of the comic books.
Definitely. Well said, buddy. And I'm glad you mentioned the comic books too, because she is pretty wild in some of the comics that I've read with her in it. And there's a Deadpool, or I should say a Lady Pool statue. I don't know what scale it is at my local comic store. And it honestly, every time I see it, it catches my attention. She's fantastic. One of the things I noticed with these blogger photos is they've got her like a couple photos of her like extremely like cheeked up. It makes me think of Brother Cousin's toy reviews, the booty watch, but 100%, wow, some of these photos are pretty aggressive and well marketed, I will say. But Dean, I'd be curious to hear what your take is on Lady Pool as well as Kid Pool, because Kid Pool has also popped up this week. And he's a pretty cool looking little character as well, coming with his water guns and everything. And I think one of the most sought after accessories now, it seems like, or will be anyways, is this little 1/6 scale love seat. What are your thoughts on adding the whole Reynolds family to the display as well as a couch?
Yeah, that is actually one of Ryan Reynolds' kids in the suit. Mm-hmm. So it really is kind of like the Ryan Reynolds family. But I have no desire to add the family, but the Lady Deadpool's pretty tempting. I'm with you. I would have preferred to have a Blake Lively sculpt, because dear God, that woman was beautiful. But even without it, it's like, damn, it's a good looking figure. It's a really cool looking figure. I love the Uzis. Obviously the cake. Who doesn't love cake? Am I right? Yeah, I like it a lot. So there's just like other shit I'd rather buy, especially for, $200-300. So I would have to find it like aftermarket or incredibly cheap to really pull the trigger on it. But as for Kid Pool, I don't hate it, but I'm also not like tripping over myself to get it. So the couch is cool. I feel like they could have put more stuff with Kid Pool. Like the baby. I don't know why that came with Deadpool. He never even interacts with the baby. A different version of the dog. Head Pool also kind of would have made more sense to include with this figure instead of... does Head Pool come with Deadpool or
with Deadpool, yeah.
Lady Pool? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I feel like they could have like kitted this out to make it worth the whole purchase price, but yeah, I mean, if you love Deadpool, you got your pick of the litter. They're coming out with all kinds of shit.
Well, Dean,
well, you mentioned
I got a question. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go first.
I got a question for you, Dean. I know you mentioned that if it had the Blake Lively head sculpt, that you'd be more motivated. But would you be as motivated for it if her head looked the way Ryan Reynolds' head looks like in the movie, with all the scars and the things like that? If Blake Lively's face looked like that underneath the mask, would you still be interested in the?
I think Blake Lively's so beautiful. I won't be mad at it.
Jesus.
But
that's a good question, Classy. I don't think I would.
She definitely wouldn't, because Deadpool doesn't have hair. She does, so I feel like she's fine underneath. Because I mean, the Nice Pool looked totally normal, so they don't.
Yeah, but he had no powers.
Yeah, but they don't all look like Hamburger, I don't think.
Well, and he doesn't have his hair, so like, does she look like that under the mask or not? I can't remember from the comics, Classy.
I don't know if I don't think I've ever seen her without a mask on.
Unmasked, yeah, and same. So let us know, guys, in the chat if you guys know what does Lady Pool look like under her mask? Is she all marked up like Deadpool? Now, question to the full panel. Anybody can answer this. Do you guys think that the price point on this figure makes sense? I've heard some speculation that it's in the $240 range. I haven't had a chance to confirm yet officially, but $240 does seem pretty expensive for kind of like, I want to say, a quarter-size character and what looks to me like pretty much just a plastic couch. I don't think that there's any soft touch material on there or anything. That's getting close to that $350 range for me here in Canada when I do the conversion and shipping. That's a wild purchase price, I think. Do you think that's worth the cost? Anybody can answer. What do you guys think?
I don't think so. I think that, or Kidpool, I think the figure itself looks really cool and it'd be fun to have, but for that price, they're trying to justify it by throwing that couch in, which I think looks cool. And like you said, everybody wants, myself included, but I have a bad feeling it's going to come with your, standard subpar paint apps from Hot Toys. And honestly, the more I look at it, it actually looks a little underscaled, to be honest. So I could almost see as you start setting your figures there that it's not going to look as good as you might hope. So no, I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a mess.
Did I miss something in the movie, or is the couch just not a thing from the movie? It's just so you can put your family of Deadpools on it, right?
Yeah, it's not in the film from my recollection.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess
odd inclusion.
You're not going to be looking at it much if you actually get the three figures involved to put that scene together. I guess they're going to be blocking it quite a bit, but it'll have a nice like Married with Children vibe for your Deadpool family if you do that.
Yeah, I can see it. I wish they would make it like soft touch material or something though. I like just a little bit more. Like, I mean, I can't confirm it 100%, but it definitely looks very plasticky. 12-inch Moose Stream says $240 for Kidpool, $280 for Lady Pool. $280 makes sense, I think, for the most part. She doesn't come with a head sculpt or anything, so that's still stretching that standard price point that we used to kind of see, but I think she's pretty cool. I was actually, one last thing about Lady Pool, I was actually impressed by some of the flexibility I'm seeing in the actual outfit itself, Larry. Even just them featuring this high kick, I think that actually looks pretty freaking good. Quick shout out to 12-inch Moose Stream, member for 7 months already. Thank you so much for supporting the Ben Thomas Show, buddy. He says, I'd go full meta Deadpool 4 in my collection if I were rich. Well, after hearing about your collection, Moose, I'm starting to think maybe you are a little rich and you should share the wealth, buddy. But maybe that's just me. But no, thanks for the comment,
he is
buddy.
Sharing the
and
wealth.
Thanks for being
a
I know. You're right.
Super chat.
You're right.
You
always share your wealth. I'm just teasing you, Moose. I love you, buddy. No. Well said, Dean. Well said. Absolutely. Guys, let us know what you think of Deadpool, or I should say Kidpool and Lady Pool. Are these ones coming to your collection? Are there any other figures, guys, in terms of the panel that you would really like to see? Or are you starting to now actually feel fatigued by the movie? Like, do you think that we should see a Gambit? Do you think we should see an Elektra? Maybe a Blade? Maybe really any. I wanted to see maybe a Sabretooth or a Nice Pool. Chris, anybody else that you would rather see come to the collection from the film?
I think they should do like they did with No Way Home and use this movie as an excuse to do like a 1998 Blade rather than a 60-year-old Blade. But that's all I'm saying.
Just rework the original one that Hot Toys had to begin with, or
well, I don't know what year that came out, but I'm sure it's looking a little haggard by today's standards, right? Like when is that blade came? I didn't even know there was one. I'm ignorant.
God, I have to say
It's
it
got to
had
be
to have been
old.
at least 2014, I want to say, somewhere in that range, maybe even sooner than that. So
It's time.
for sure. It's time. Yeah.
President
and I mean,
Toys
President
just,
Toys,
Present
just did
Toys.
one. It's pretty good. I got it back there. It's nice.
Yeah, you're happy with it, Mike? Yeah.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard
Yeah.
to say.
I know
They'd
some
have
people
to-
said like some of the proportions are off and like the traps and stuff, but to me, once you get the jacket on, if you get it to lay right, it looks pretty sweet.
If they were gonna 2.0 it, it would have to be significantly better, and I would want to definitely see the leather jacket as opposed to the pleather material. I think that goes without saying nowadays for most part. I think that's what most collectors are looking for, but I think they would have to upgrade it, or at the very least maybe that like synthetic material that some of the new Darth Vaders are starting to show. And that brings us to our next one. But guys, let us know, as I said, in the comments or on replay, are you getting Ladypool or are you getting Kidpool? Both? None? What one would you rather see in terms of a character? Darth Vader is here from Return of the Jedi. He's been released by Hot Toys. And just like we've seen with some other characters kind of within this last 6 months, they feature a kind of a revised design update for the mask, as well as kind of what it looks like under the mask. Now, I still have my Empire Strikes Back version. For me, Empire Strikes Back Vader is my definitive Vader. I think it's just my favorite representation of him. I like the suit. I like his appearance in that film. Kind of the whole story around it, I think, is really great. There was some complaints that I had with that Empire Strikes Back version. The helmet doesn't fully sit very well down. I actually use a little bit of blue tack to stick it down a little bit further. I think in this revision, it looks like they've probably updated that slightly as well, just its ability to sit a little lower and more screen accurate. For me, I'm a little on the fence with this still. I did a this or that video recently on this Vader versus the Anakin Vader, but I've been thinking about revisiting a this or that for this Vader versus Empire Strikes Back. Because I think the Anakin Vader gives you something very different. Obviously, Hayden Christensen is, super popular now amongst the Star Wars world. Not like he was back in the day, but he's made a certain return to people's hearts. But this particular version of Vader, when you get a chance to actually see the sculpt there, I think it looks pretty good. I think there's a subtle downgrade from the prototype, but not enough to make it a deal breaker by any stretch. I still think it looks really, really good. My biggest complaint with this figure on my shelf is that when you see in the film Return of the Jedi, him without his mask on, he's actually laying on the floor. He's an old man filled with regret. And it's a sad moment and a cathartic moment for him emotionally. But you never really see him walking around like holding the mask like you do in some of these blogger photos. And this version here that comes with the lit cowl, or mask I should say, where he's being electrocuted, feels a little bit gimmicky. And in my opinion, if they don't actually end up giving us another Emperor Palpatine, I don't know if I would ever actually even use this particular sculpt with the glowing. I think it would probably stay in the box. Feels a little on the gimmicky side. Dean, I'll start with you first, buddy. What are your thoughts now seeing the final product of Darth Vader here from Return of the Jedi?
I like it a lot. Yeah, to me, as much as I love Hayden Christensen, when I think of Darth Vader, I don't really think of Darth Vader like this, right? Episode 3, when he turns, that's about as much Vader as I can get with Anakin or Hayden. I still, think of him as Anakin. So when I think of Darth Vader, it's under this mask, right? Like this at the end of Return of the Jedi. So to me, this is kind of like, as much as I like the Obi-Wan Vader, right, with the battle damage, or the new battle damage Vader, with the Anakin sculpt underneath it, like it is cool, but it's just not. It's not. I literally just forgot his name. Holy shit! Chris, help me out.
Sebastian Shaw.
Sebastian Shaw. Thank you. I said it on Tuesday a bunch, so I did know it. I just forgot it.
I heard.
So yeah, to me, this is Vader. I think the Empire Strike Back one is also pretty good. You don't ever see him unmasked in that movie, so it makes sense it didn't come with the Sebastian Shaw sculpt, so that's fine if you have that Vader. But if you want one that does both, I think this is pretty good. I like this a lot. I have kit bashed like my Ultimate Vader, so I don't need this. But it's sweet. I like this a lot.
You know, it's funny, Dean, because when I first did the this or that video on this Vader next to Anakin, you know, a couple of months back, you know, there are some videos you make on YouTube and it'll get like, I don't know, 40 to 150 views, right? And it goes nowhere. This video for me did like over 3,000 views, I think, which was wild. But the reason I even bring that up, not to flex, was because I called this David Prowse all throughout that video. And not Sebastian Shaw. Of course, David Prowse being the physical embodiment of Vader, but not the man underneath the mask. And oh my God, the amount of comments that I received on that after, I felt so dumb. I'm shocked I didn't lose half my freaking audience. Deservedly so. In fact, I actually had one person be like, you should just delete this video from existence. Because that was such a flub. But yeah, no. Not David Prowse in terms of sculpt. So, but yeah, what do you think, Chris, in terms of this Vader now that you're having a chance to see it? Is this something that you think you'd bring to the collection?
All right, well, let me further out nerd your audience and just let you know that David Prowse was barely even in the suit for that duel. It was Bob Anderson for most of it, but because David Prowse wasn't that good of a sword fighter. But Dean's dying here. I wish he wasn't muted. But yeah, so the thing is, you can see some cool behind the scenes photos from that duel of Bob Anderson with the suit on, helmet off, practice. And for me, I think the Return of the Jedi version of the costume is probably the weakest version of the costume. Not that there's much difference to the average viewer, but this doesn't scream Return of the Jedi to me, because I think the helmet, like especially the top piece, is actually largest in this film, and I don't know if they're hitting that mark. Maybe you can measure it against the Empire one, but I think you're absolutely right, Ben. If you're gonna have Vader with the full suit on, ESB is the way to go, because you know something happened to Vader between Empire and Return of the Jedi. Like Palpatine cut his monthly paycheck or something. He really loses his motivation in Return of the Jedi. He's not the man he used to be. But if you're gonna get this, I think you display it with Sebastian Shaw's head, because even if he's not lying on the ground, this is like a super key moment. And I pulled something out of a case just to show you guys. Look here. Here's my Sebastian Shaw Anakin 3 3/4 from 1985.
Beautiful
and this
likeness.
Look at that painting of good old Force Ghost Sebastian Shaw. Not cringe at all with it, and with his little Anakin picture. But you know,
crazy.
they erased him from the end of the movie with Hayden Christensen. So this Return of the Jedi Vader is all you got, man. It's like this is this is what you want to remember Sebastian Shaw from this movie. And this is, I think you pose him standing up with that head sculpt. And if you're crazy and you have an Empire one, that's your helmet version taken care of. But you know, it's wild to erase someone from a film like 20 years after they died. I don't know how I feel about it, but this is a cool,
insulting for sure.
Yeah, this is a cool piece. But I feel like the way to display it is with this head on, if you're gonna get it.
I think so too. I totally agree with that. Even though, as I said, in my opinion, you'd have to pretty much lay him on the floor for it to be, you know, film accurate potentially.
Yeah.
But
well, you'd also need a ramp from a Tidarium shuttle, which you're never gonna get. So just stand him up.
You're never gonna get it. You can get it printed, I'm sure. Mike, is this one that might come to your Star Wars collection? Do you have a definitive Vader in mind? How many Vaders do you even need to feel satisfied, especially with all the cool ones that are now kind of available for collectors?
Yeah, that's the real question, right? How many do you need? I don't even know where a definitive Vader would land for me, because I have such love for Hayden Christensen. I have such love for the original trilogy. It's kind of a mix of all of it for me, to be honest with you. I have Kenobi battle damaged one that I ordered, you know, right before all these other ones dropped. So it's kind of one of those at the point where, you know what, I got this one. Now I'm not going to fall for their trap of to keep pre-ordering Vaders, right? And not to mention the one they just put up for pre-order a couple weeks ago too. But yeah, and I've kind of pieced some things together. I've taken the cape and the clean head sculpt from the Kenobi and put it on my my Empire Vader, because I think to your point, I think the dome looks a little better on that. And yeah, if I got this one, I don't, as good as this looks, kind of like the Deadpool, I'm not sure that I would use this sculpt. You know, as you said, yeah, my image of this is, you know, when he's frail and beaten down and, you know, in some ways lost. So it's not, as much as I can picture him, you know, kind of like Dean said, I always think of Hayden as Anakin and Vader. It's just not sure how I would want to portray my Darth Vader, you know, as kind of the frail, dying, weak old man. You know, I like to think him, you know, at his peak power, if you will. So I think I'll stick with my Empire for the clean look.
Hell yeah, absolutely. Honest Hansel, gotta go cut the lawn. I'll check you out and replay. Stay nuts. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for popping in. Definitely appreciate you. We do have Pop Culture Relics here with us as well. Good to see you, buddy. And I also noticed we've got Evil Sneaker here with us here, one of our channel members. Make sure you check out Sneak Peek tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific time, if I'm not mistaken. Always a great stream with him and Justin, How You Figure. Make sure you check that stream out tonight, guys, if you got some time to do so. Eddie, what about you, buddy? How many Vaders is too many Vaders? Do you even have a Vader in your collection? Is this one that you had considered? What are your thoughts?
I used to have a Vader. I had the Empire Strikes Back, the 40th one. And that was a really sick figure. I think that's my favorite Vader. But, you know, I'm nowhere near as big a nerd as Chris or Dean. So Vader with a black helmet, that's Vader to me. I'm not going to notice the big head or the subtle paint differences or his box on his chest had a different button, and you know, I'm not a
There it is.
How dare you?
Dude, it's Vader, bro.
But Andor sucks.
Yeah, there you go. Also, I don't know, maybe I'm the odd guy out in the community. I don't really need a dude with a nutsack looking face in my collection, whether it's Deadpool or Vader. So I get it that it's for nostalgia purposes, and I kind of agree with Chris's take on that. Like, if you do have a Vader and you're going to get this one, display it with the Sebastian Shaw head. But, you know, as a kid, that always creeped me the hell out, the way he looked. So I don't need it on display in my collection.
Eddie,
But
are you in
I think
favor of...
it's supposed to.
Do you think Sebastian Shaw Vader should have eyebrows or no eyebrows? That's the real question. Because this is special edition Sebastian Shaw right here with no eyebrows.
Yeah, true.
definitely no eyebrows. Go full nutsack, I think.
Go full.
But I do like I like the electric light up head that they did. I think it's cool that they even tried it. I do think that it could have been done probably better. To see the skull underneath would have been sick, but I like it for what it is. I agree that I think the Empire Strikes Back is still the cooler Vader to have, but they're pretty much the same in my opinion.
I was watching the MRC video on this. MRC Collectible, shout out to his early reviews, and I think you could see the skull under there just a little bit, Eddie. I don't know like how much detail there was, but cool. I think you can tell that there's at least like a head under the mask, which is cool.
I have a Darth Vader.
What Darth Vader would you want to be
Is
your
that what they
definitive
call it?
Vader?
Is that what you call it,
Thomas?
Thomas?
Huh? Darth Vader? That's his name, right?
Yeah, it is. It's not an old lady in the mask, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, yeah, not that one. No, not that old one in the robe. I'm talking about. Yeah, I've got Darth Vader. He came in a black
Why does it sound so sexual? It sounds like when you bring women home, you're like, would you like to see my Darth Vader?
Totally.
I don't think it's as wide as this one is, but continue.
Yeah, I mean, you're saying how many Darth? For me, I got one. That's all I need. I mean, it looks accurate to me. He's got his cape on. He's got the big hat, and you know, what else do you need? I mean, like everybody is able to pick out all the little nuances. I can't tell one from the other. All I know is that he's wearing a black cape and he has a big hat. And that's Darth Vader to me.
Thomas, I wish I could embody your perspective. Like, basically my read on Thomas is that he watched the original trilogy and he was like, Yeah, that was pretty good. And then he never watched another Star Wars again. And I think I wish I could live in that mindset. I wish I could be there as a person.
Yeah, it was awesome in 1977 when I watched it. I thought it was a great
That's a flex
movie
right there, by the way.
during my
That was a flex.
childhood. And there was the original trilogy, and they came out, and then it seemed like it was over. And George Lucas kept talking about, oh yeah, I'm going to do a prequel, and I'm going to do a sequel, and I'm going to do this, that, and the other. And then like 150 years later, he finally comes out one. And by that time, I've kind of lost interest. So the only thing that exists for me is 4, 5, and 6 episodes. So, but yeah, I mean, I like my Darth Vader. I don't see how this one is any different than they all have a black cape and a big hat. That's all. I mean, so
A hat. Oh my god, that's great.
yeah, I mean that they're all this to me.
And a big
They all look the same. I literally cannot see any difference between any of them. When people say, "Oh, but look at here, there's a this one is 5 centimeters to the,"
Thomas,
I
do you
see
see?
it?
Do you see how his hand is cut off and how he's got an old burnt nutsack man face sculpt? That's the difference, really, for this one. That's what you should appreciate. Because actually, his helmet should never be off while he still has that hand. So I feel like if you display him with the hand missing and the Sebastian Shaw head sculpt, that's a very distinctive look to go alongside your Empire Strikes Back Vader if you are the type of person to have more than one
Well,
1/6 scale
it's a
Vader.
hot toy. So what you do is that you pluck off the right hand and you stick it in the box, and then he has no hand.
Oh my god, it wouldn't have that severed, burned look though, Classy. I don't know if that would work perfectly.
Well,
I feel like Classy. I feel like he checked out once he realized that it wasn't actually James Earl Jones under
I know,
the mask.
you know, really, yeah. Actually, now wouldn't that have been cool if it had been James
Yes.
Earl Jones, and then people were like, "Wow, he's Luke's father," and then everybody's sitting here.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, that kid's half and half. All right, there you go.
And
He's got a little cocoa in that cream.
wonder
All
he's so
right.
good.
That may be
Jumping.
stepping out.
then Sam Jackson would be in some hot water, I think.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Now we
Boys,
know why
that's
I threw him
awesome.
out the window.
Oh my god, can you? Yeah, no, right? That's amazing. Boys, let us know what your comments are, what you guys think in the chat as well. Is this a figure you got coming? What is the definitive Vader for the collection? I think I'm going to stick with my Empire Strikes Back version, and I do think I'm going to keep my pre-order once it comes up for that new battle-damaged version from the Force Unleashed kind of game. I think that could be a really cool, like, battle-damaged look next to my clean, crispy Empire look. But let me know if you guys think I need all the Vaders, maybe none of the Vaders, or, you know, maybe does Classy Thomas just need a James Earl Jones head sculpt in there to make him want to differentiate what Vader looks like with his hat on. Now, this is exciting news this week from Jazzinc. So Jazzinc Dioramas, as most of us now know in the collector community, is working on their first officially licensed figure, being Catwoman from the 1992 film Returns, I should say. And I gotta say, I'm very, very freaking excited about this. Now, I have had some notes, though, that I was interested to see what you guys had to say about it. I think in terms of presentation-wise, and shout out to Jazzinc Dioramas, this is on his YouTube page at the moment. Lots of views on this already, over 11,000 views on this Catwoman. There's a couple different SKU options that they're going to give us here, it sounds like, which I think is my main question for you guys, because when I take a look at this screenshot, there is a lot of choice. So you can get the basic clean Catwoman, or you can get the basic battle damaged Catwoman. They come with all of the things that you're seeing there on the screen. You can also then get the Ultimate DX clean version, or the Ultimate DX battle damaged Catwoman. Or if you want to save a little bit of money, you can get the 2-pack, which comes with the clean, as well as the Ultimate DX edition head sculpts, so the battle damage look and the clean look. But you also then get 2 of the Hell Here dioramas and tasers and cats. So while there's some savings there, and I want both looks for these figures, like the battle damage look and the clean look, I really don't feel like I need 2 dioramas, 2 tasers, 2 sets of cats. Like, I think that that's getting a little overkill. But it's also the most SKUs I've ever seen, I think, for any figure. So I was curious what you guys had to say about it, because I do feel very excited about this. As of right now, I think my selection is the Ultimate DX Battle Damaged one. I think that would give me the most variety for my display. I'd love to see what that looks like next to a Batman Returns figure if we get one. But I kind of want both looks as well. I'm really on the fence. So, Dean, I'm going to start with you on this one, buddy. What are your thoughts here on Jazzinc coming up with the first licensed figure, and then, of course, all of the options that are available for it?
It's that's a lot of fucking options, which I guess is good, right? Because you can get the basic one of whichever, and then the DX of the other, and kind of have everything all in one. I, as much as I like this Catwoman, I'm not like I would never buy this figure, essentially. But damn, those look so cool. Like, that's such a small detail to get right, and I mean, it looks good. Like, they've definitely done their homework. But I don't know, $300 for the base figure isn't the worst price we've ever seen, especially for a Jazzinc product. But again, they haven't really had a figure release that was like a full on figure with like a head sculpt and accessories and hands and stuff, because they gave us the
Vulture one.
The Vulture, which is just a body and a flight suit and a helmet. So I don't know if I would take that risk off the bat. Maybe let people get it in hand and see what it's like, and kind of go from there. God damn, showing her ass crack and everything. But $300 for the base figure, that's not bad. I kind of want to see what the DX is going to look like, and then the 2-pack, because that's really going to be, kind of, I feel like a lot of people's deciding factor. It's like, well, how much am I really in on all of this? Because even if you get one of the basics and then one of the DXs, if the DX is too expensive, it might kind of just, I don't know, turn a lot of people off. Because like you said, I don't need 2 of everything in that set, the 2-pack set. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but not one you're thinking you're gonna pull the trigger on necessarily, character wise.
I wouldn't.
I feel like so many people have been asking for Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman for years, and I know you even liked this movie a lot more than you expected, so I'm a bit surprised.
Yeah, but I'm not like I watched it like 4 years ago, so I don't even have the nostalgic like I need to own this. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I mean, I've watched these as a kid, but like I didn't really remember them. So revisiting them, I was like, oh yeah, that was pretty good. I don't have like a love for it.
Absolutely. Now, Eddie, I'd be curious what your take is on this as well, because I know, I think for the most part, Jazzinc has a pretty great reputation overall, but I know you've said in the past they still deserve to be, to have some criticism as well. There should be some more critical takes on their methods as well and stuff like that. But this is kind of going to be their first officially licensed figure, and it is from a Batman series of films that I know you enjoy. Is this something that you feel like you could get on board with supporting Jazzinc on in terms of figures? And if so, which of the versions do you think you'd lean to?
I do want a Catwoman. I probably wouldn't get it though. I'm not gonna get this for sure. But I do love the battle damage version. I think the one thing that at least the statue companies have not done is the head that we just saw, where it's kind of damaged and she has her hair strands sticking out. That's my favorite look for her. So if I had to pick one, I'd probably do the battle damage if I didn't want to do the 2-pack, because that seems like a lot. And I don't like, I think they should have made the 2-pack different to save money. Maybe like, do you need 2 dioramas if you have the 2-pack? Like, what's wrong with the 1 diorama? Why do you need 2? For each figure displayed separately, I guess people would want that, but I would think one diorama is enough. I don't know. But yeah, I'm skeptical. I think in these pictures in the video, everything looks great. I don't know that that is what you will get in hand. Because, like, these is like the master look, right? So, like, is it going to be all individually hand done like these are? Or is it just going to be copied off of the original? I don't know. So, me personally, I'm more skeptical because I think that there's always some issues with Jazzinc, at least the first wave. And even, you know, after that, like, I don't know, future issues that you might have either with the suit or the body or the head sculpt. I don't know. Like, I just think that you're overpaying for what you get from Jazzinc, in my opinion. I think that it's not. I've seen a lot of Jazzinc stuff in hand. It's cool, but like, it's not any better than Hot Toys other than the gimmicks that they add, like the lighting and the remote control thing is like, I think you get gimmicks more than you get any like better quality or anything for like 3 times the price half the time. So even if I did really want it, I'm good. I'd rather not take the gamble on it.
No, that's fair. I mean, again, I think until we have it in hand, it's going to be hard to know. And it's hard to criticize something we've never seen from them before. And not that we want to give them criticism, because to be honest, I'm freaking excited about this. Like, I really would like this to be done well. And I'm rooting for them to have it done well. I think that there's a lot of pressure on them. There's a lot of eyes on them. Because if they put their, hat in the ring for a 6-scale figure, and for some reason they screw it up, they're never going to hear the end of that, and it will honestly likely affect some of their business with regards to their vehicles as well, which is their bread and butter at the moment. So I think the pressure is on. I don't think that they can afford to fail on this one, which is why I think it will be great. But as a result, I'll also be curious to see how fast they get it to collectors. How many years are we going to have to wait for a figure? I don't think he's officially addressed that yet. Now, it does sound like pre-orders are likely to go up for these somewhere in September, so I'm definitely keeping my eye out for that. Mike, are you a big Batman Returns fan? If so, I mean, are you one of those folks that have been asking for Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman for years? Do you have a skew here or an option that you would gravitate towards?
So yeah, I'm a big fan of Batman Returns. This is definitely intriguing. I think there's a lot to digest here. I'm not sure I can really wrap my head around what's all coming with what at this point. We also still need to see not only a final product, but it may be asking a lot, but I would almost like to see, multiple attempts at the final product. Don't just give me one head sculpt. Let me see you do it a couple times so that, to Eddie's point, are we actually going to get what you have here? As far as the risks and stuff, I mean, if the price is in line with Hot Toys and others, I don't think it's that big of a deal, right? I mean, we have plenty of issues with Hot Toys figures and anybody else too. So, I think some of the critique on some of their bigger stuff is absolutely valid as far as pricing and quality and stuff. Once you start putting their figures up against other figures, I think we're inevitably going to have the same issues as we would on Hot Toys stuff, right? Is the suit going to hold up? Is the hair going to start to frizz? What's the final paint apps look like? All that. So I don't know that the risk is any different. I mean, yeah, obviously Hot Toys and them are more established, but I think figure-wise, you're going to run into the same things. I've only ever had one piece from Jazzinc. I have their bat signal that they did a while back. No issues with that, but obviously it's a much simpler piece than the Batwing that they've had some issues with lately and things like that. So I've never had any issues with them. I'm gonna wait and see on this. I know it's kind of you kind of have to pre-order or else you're probably gonna miss out. So I may end up having to take a chance on one. Which of those combinations? I have no clue. I really don't want 2 of them, but I also want. I could see both the clean and the battle damage in the collection, so it's going to be a hard choice. But yeah, I still think they got to show us a little more before I can make that decision.
Yeah, definitely. No, well said, buddy. Well said. I think one of the things that Jazzinc or Yost did show in this particular video as well, so if you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend giving it a watch. As he mentioned, the expression. So this is where she kind of flips out of the store when it's about to explode and says meow. And there were a few people who had sent them, or like Jazzinc, this particular screenshot to say, hey, like, I think this would be a really great expression for Catwoman. But when they actually like rendered it and like made it look, like what it could look like, it was a really off-putting expression. And so they've put quite a bit of time into trying to find what that would look like in display, as opposed to it just being like a cool expression from the film, because you got to think of what these are going to look like in your display at the end of the day. Normally I try to stick to one character from a film. Like, so if I have a Batman, I don't want multiple, Christopher Nolan Batmans in his, in his suit. Like, I want to, maybe a Batman Begins, maybe the Dark Knight, and that's about it. I don't know if I necessarily like want to display both Catwomans, but both bring their own element of cool factor. So again, part of the reason I'm still on the fence. Chris, I know you're like, you don't have a ton of 6 scale, but these obviously interest you at the very least, and your nostalgia for these older films is clearly there. Is this something that could tip you over to purchase?
Yeah, man. I think that I'm not allowed to comment on 1/6 scale because I have less than 6 figures, but I gotta
That's not
say,
the rule, and let's get nuts.
yeah, I gotta say that, like, I personally, so like I pre-ordered that Dark Empire Luke from Hot Toys, and I did not get the artisan one because I thought that real talk, I think real hair on 1/6 scale is like mostly a bad proposition in the long term. But this might be an exception to that, just because she gets lit on fire, she gets blown up, it's ambiguous whether or not she's a zombie who's actually dead. You know what I mean? Like whatever, these little strands that are sticking out of this helmet, like, that's not a big deal if it looks frizzy in like 5 years after you buy this thing, because she looks like she got run over by a car in the movie, so it's fine. You got little patches coming out, whatever, it's fine. This is like one of the most iconic costumes of cinema history. You have lots of options. There's third party for this, there's a bunch of other stuff. My main thing is that I'm filling out a graphic design job application for Jazzinc because of that first slide that you showed that was typed up on Microsoft Word that showed all the SKUs that look crazy, and I can't believe this is a licensed figure and that's the slide they're announcing the SKUs on. They just typed it up on Word like that. I can help you guys out. CW Movie Night has better graphics than that. You should check it out. But the head, look at the heads they're making, and that's their SKU graphics. I don't know what to tell you, but listen, I think this looks good, man. This is what I don't understand about Jazzinc, and maybe some of you guys can elaborate on this for me, is that I saw somebody in the chat mention they're gonna do like a DX version of that Millennium Falcon cockpit. Is it chill that DC works with them on officially licensed products when they're still doing bootleg stuff like that? Like, is that cool for DC?
I think he actually did mention on the 1/6 scale man recently, because I was watching his interview with Lael there. I think he mentioned that he's going to try and stick to pretty much like only officially licensed things going forward, for the most part.
Okay.
Because of some of that scrutiny, I think, and deservedly so. I think he mentioned that, but I could be wrong. You guys might better know in the chat there if you listened a little closer than me. But
Does he have everything for WB? Do you know, license-wise, or is it just Batman stuff?
It sounds like it for the most part, but most exclusively Batman for the most part. So that's at least his target focus, from what I've recalled. Now, I'd love to get him on the show at some point. Maybe I should extend an invitation at some point and see if he'd want to get nuts with us on a Sunday for a little bit and chat a little bit about this more in detail. But let us know, guys, in the chat if that's something you guys would like to see. My take on the interview with him, because maybe I'll bring Eddie on and we can have some hard-hitting questions with respect, of course.
That I would tune in for.
Hell yeah. Classy, what are your thoughts
One-on-one
here on
with Eddie.
Catwoman? No doubt, right?
And
sorry, Classy, I apologize to interrupt you. Did anybody else notice the Kurt Russell Escape from New York head sculpts there? Because I'm like,
I was going to ask if that's what it was.
That.
Is that?
I wonder. Yeah, like whoever's maybe modeling these figures, I wonder if that's their custom sculpts or if that's a tease for a future. But
Snake
I'm not too
Plissken.
sure.
I thought you were dead.
Exactly. But Classy, what are your thoughts on Catwoman here from Jazzinc?
All right. First thing, you bring Yost on, you bring me on. Okay.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So, but yeah, I love it. I'm down for the 2-pack. I like all 6 of the different head sculpts, the battle damage and the clean versions. But I think if I were going to, I kind of agree with what you're saying, what Eddie said about why do you need 2 Hell Here backdrops. Now that makes sense. What I would say is that if you order the deluxe, do one of 2 things. Offer 1 Hell Here and cut the price. So that appropriately, so that you're not really also paying for that diorama. Or give us a different diorama. For example, with the battle damaged one, I would love to see one of those transformers and the taser, where she at the end where she zapped Shrek. That will be a I think that will be a really great diorama for the battle damaged.
Especially since she comes with the taser, right, Classy?
Yeah, I believe she does, doesn't she?
Yeah.
But
She does, yeah.
but yeah, I mean this is spectacular. I mean, I think that this and the I can't remember the name of the person who was doing the painting. I'm not familiar with her, but she so far the job that she has done on painting this face has been spectacular. I'm just awestruck, and I hope that Michelle Pfeiffer is just. I hope she's over the moon with this. I hope she loves it, and I hope, of course, they get her own copy. They need to give her a 2-pack so that she can be able to also enjoy that. But yeah, I want them both. I just don't want 2 Hell Here's.
Yeah, no, for sure. It must likely just come down to cost and shipping and everything.
How
I'm
many-
sure it would I'm sure having that extra diorama would really put it into a price point that wouldn't make sense then for a lot of collectors, and as a result end up being skipped by people. But I do agree, like having the 2 Hell Here's does kind of like one is going to end up staying in the box for sure. Like I there's no way I'd put both up. It wouldn't make sense. What were you going to say? What?
How many head sculpts actually are they making? Are they making like 3 for a clean version and 3 different ones for the battle? So are there 6 different?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you get
wow,
both
okay.
packs, that's the case. Now,
Okay.
part of that rationale from Yoast on this stream specifically was that because they're not giving us the rolling eye system, apparently the rolling eye system is actually pretty expensive. So as a result, instead, they were able to get the same price, like bang for buck, giving the 3 sculpts with the different expressions than the rolling eye system instead.
That's crazy to think, right? Because they preach all the technology and all the best stuff with their vehicles and things, and to see them not doing the rolling eyeballs on the head sculpt is kind of disappointing. Because how many of those figures do we see with the dead stare? And I feel like we've kind of grown past that. It'd be a shame to kind of get stuck with that.
It's funny you mentioned that. Doesn't Hot Toys like advertise their rolling eyeballs as being like patented in some way? Like, don't they have like a patented name for it that are just like, you guys can't do this. We figured it out.
Well, they might call it that, but they don't have a patent on that. They've been making rolling eyes
Yeah, 'cause InArt
for
does 'em.
years. And not only that,
Okay.
this third party Chun-Li I have has rolling eyes.
Well, you
Yeah.
said it right there. Third party. They don't. They're criminals basically, Thomas. That's the deal.
I love criminals. Well, I like criminals who make good figures.
Now, I know, I think
Those
he
are the
did
only
say
figures
is
I like.
I did think he said as well, and I could be mistaken if on my understanding here, but you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. If I think he said if there was enough support there, they could still consider the rolling eye system. Even still, it would just have to be very, very well supported because of the cost of doing it.
That one
to be
image
honest,
on
though,
that head sculpt on the left there kind of looks like it's got a bit of a drifting eye on it. So hopefully they
little
can
bit.
line those up a little better.
yeah, I'd be curious. I think they're painted on, which is
Yeah.
the wild part.
Yeah.
So I think like once you have it, you have it. I don't think they have the dead eye stare though. Not like some Hot Toys figures. I still think that there's definitely some life in the sculpt. What I think I'd be nervous about is having, these with the hair coming out of the masks, or like that cowl there, kind of either tucked in the box or tucked in my accessories bin, so that I could then swap the look occasionally. I think what would end up happening is I would find that look that I like the most, and the other sculpts for the most part would stay in the box. I do love her with that kind of grimace look on the middle section here. I think that's fantastic. But I definitely see Michelle Pfeiffer in all of these all of these sculpts. So I do think they've done a good job, at least on the proto, enough to get me excited about it. It just depends on, I don't know, how much money I guess I want to spend. The other thing is I don't have a Batman Returns Batman. And so, like, for me, I think that's a necessity. I would really like to have a Batman Returns figure. Are they going to give us a 2.0? I'm not 100% sure yet. Hot Toys, I would recommend doing it at this point, but I don't think they're going to listen to me. I would hope for it at the very least.
Then just get the Batman figure from the first movie with the Joker. No. Batman basically has a black cape and he wears a
he's
a
not
pointy
Darth
hat.
Vader.
I'm gonna mute Thomas here in a second.
And he has a pointy hat. So
they're very different suits, classy Thomas. They're very different. Do not offend me as such. I might not be as big of a Star Wars guy, but I'm 100% a big Batman guy. No doubt. X-Men Supreme with another $5 chat. Thank you again, buddy. Thank you so much for your generosity. It says Jeffrey Dahmer made some great 1/6 scale figures. Not a lot of people know that. That's nasty. Thank you for the information. I'm going to give you a subtle thank you for this one, X-Men Supreme.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for the laugh, the smiles, and the generosity.
Maybe if he had gotten a job at Hot Toys painting figures, he would not have gone down that other path.
Oh God, can you imagine? There you go. Did I catch them all? Did I get everybody? I think I got everybody on the panel. Great comments in the chat there. I've been highlighting as many as I could there for everybody. I did see one Adam 12th slide through. Make sure you subscribe to one Adam 12th. He just crossed the 2,000 subscriber mark, and he's been doing some great unboxings with his daughter. I think that's very wholesome, and I love to see that. Fresh blood in the community, I think, is going to be a great thing over the next decade worth of time. We'll see how it goes. But guys, that is the show for today on Let's Get Nuts Sunday. I want to shout out our very special membership, the Tough Nut Crew. If you're interested in becoming a Tough Nut member, please feel free to do so. The link is at the top of the chat there for everybody. Let's shout out these folks. We got Alvin J collecting weekly money, Mendez, 6 Scale Mafia, Katera, Feezy's Figures, King Dingaling, Sith Scale Collector, Paul Schreiber, The Batman, The Movie Canon, 1/6 Figure Focus, SpongeBob Square Balls, Rogue One Photography, Peter Cass, Ryan Smith, Collector Joey, Sam Gist, Jose G. Hernandez, 12-Inch Moose Stream, Collection Obsession, Blur Dad Life, Danny Spotchka, Rachel Miller, Honest Hansel, Action in the Box, Figurecraft, Neilerific, Action Figure Academy, X-Men Supreme, Don Maton, Kenneth Jacobson, Valkyrie Magnus, Adrian Cervantes, Alex Serrato, Christopher Walzano, Pop Culture Relics, One Adam 12, Evil Sneaker, and Trevor Weed. Thank you guys so much for being part of our Tough Nut crew here. We appreciate you guys. If you want to become a member, of course, please do so. You will see your custom emojis in your chat box there, as well as your figure badges beside the name. And you never know what Dean is going to make for us next. I am also willing to take some recommendations. So if anybody has a figure, or I should say a nut request, if you are a channel member, I will 100% take those to heart and chat with Dean about maybe getting those created. I've had a lot of Spider-Man nut requests, so maybe that's where we need to go.
Make a giant black hat and put some nuts in it.
Jesus Christ.
I know where his web's going to be coming from.
Glassy, where can we find you this week, buddy? Thanks for coming back for episode 50 of Let's Get Nuts. We appreciate you, buddy.
Well, I'll be on on Wednesday night on After Dark with CW, and not this week, but I'll skip that for now because we're still working on that. But yeah, that's where I'll be this week. Will be on CW's Wednesday After Dark.
Hell yeah, dude, absolutely. Thank you for being here, as always, classing it up with your hat talk and all of these things today, buddy. Mr. Dean, The Dream, Martin, haven't had you here in a while, buddy, but always welcome, panelist and voice in the community. I love you, man. Thanks for being here. What's going on with you and Collecting Weekly this week?
Yeah, Tuesday is the main show with our buddies over here, Ben and Eddie. We'll be joined with Marco and, of course, Zach, the Ox Father himself. Wednesday, we'll have After Dark, where we just talk about nothing. Just how our weeks are, our trials, our tribulations. Whatever happened during the week, we just talk about it and then hang out and see whose butthole comes up first in conversation.
Oh, my God.
Let's see. Then there's Thursday will be Small Talk. Chris, you'll be on Small Talk.
That's right.
What are you guys talking about this week? I don't even know.
Well, just generally, we're going to cover all your 1/12 and 1/18 scale news. And, we don't really care about wrestling figures, but we try because the logo is influenced by wrestling.
There you go.
There you go.
So we got that going. Friday will be just another Friday night, I believe. He's back this week. And then Saturday, we played Baldur's Gate last night. We should be playing again on Saturday. So whole week of content for you guys coming up. Served hot and fresh.
Hot and fresh. That reminds me of Hot and Ready's that I can no longer eat because I'm celiac, but I miss those pizzas from Little Caesars back in the day. Although I still remember when they were $5. Now I think they're like $12.
No, I think they're I think they're 8.
Are they?
In fact, I
Okay,
can tell you right now because I have the app.
Actually,
on my phone,
Canadian it would be 12. So yeah, to see it. Yomo gifted a Ben Thomas Show membership. Thank you so much, Yomo. I hope we didn't teach your new child any horrendous language on Let's Get Nuts today. But thanks for your contribution. Let's give ya a bam.
Bam! Peanut butter and jam!
Thanks, Yomo. Appreciate you, buddy. Mr. Mike, Sith Scale Collector. I know you haven't decided to make a YouTube channel quite yet or anything along those lines, but you've been making more appearances over and over and over again now. Now that you get your feet wet with the community, is there anything that we can look forward to seeing you with again, or what?
No, I got nowhere to send you. It all feels like way too much work for me. You guys are committed. I'm too lazy, but I am happy to jump on any of these and talk toys and nerd stuff with any of you guys. So thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I did make the last 2 weeks of After Dark with those guys, and it was a blast. I don't know how often I'll make it. It's like after dark for me on the East Coast, so it's a little rough. But yeah, man, like I said, appreciate you guys, and thanks for having me back.
Always, dude. Let me know anytime you can make it in. I know the community welcomes you. I certainly do as well. Great contribution to the panel today. So thanks.
Appreciate
thanks
you.
for being here. Say thanks to the wife for minding the family, so you could be here as well. So,
I will. Thank you.
You gotta support the supporters. You know what I'm saying? So now, Mr. Eddie, I haven't seen you in a couple weeks. Hope you had fun coming back, buddy. Definitely love having you here as always. Anything coming up for you this week that we can be excited about, or anything just happening in life that you're excited about for you?
It was boring as hell. I'm very upset that I wasted 2 hours of my Sunday.
Jesus Christ.
Was it a
Especially with
nothing
some of
burger,
the-
Eddie?
Wow, you hate to say
Especially with some of the takes that we got this week.
That's the Eddie I
Yeah,
came to
so-
see, man. I'm so happy to be
some
here
hot
with you.
takes.
I'm just kidding, man. I had a fun time. Hopefully you saw it all over my face, the exact amount of excitement that I had. But yeah, no, seriously, it was cool. And hopefully I can join more because I like hanging out on Sundays. I don't really love doing a ton of shows anymore, so Sundays is still a fun show for me. And then you'll see me on Tuesday. I'll always be there Tuesday as long as I can make it. But yeah.
Good to see you, Ben. Thanks so much for being here, buddy. As always, I appreciate you. And honestly, I always appreciate your honest takes. Even when you don't like something, I do want to hear about it, because there is still, in my opinion, not enough collectors out there who voice the things that they really dislike in terms of panels. Sometimes it's a lot of like, oh yeah, this is awesome, this is awesome. And I think sometimes it is refreshing to hear somebody say, I don't like it. It's not for me. It's nothing burger, all the things. So keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep staying real. And I'll always have you back here on Let's Get Nuts for a fun Sunday. Chris, Vintage Rebellion podcast, also part of Collecting Weekly. Always love your voice, especially on the Star Wars takes, but honestly, really just on all of the great takes that you give. Anything coming up for you, buddy, that we can be excited about? I know you already kind of highlighted movie night there a little.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, Thomas is selling himself short a little bit because he's still protesting going to movie theaters. he may not see Alien Romulus, and then it may make it difficult for us to talk about that on our next episode of CW Movie Night. But despite that fact, we just did an episode all about Hairspray, which was one of his picks. And don't get it twisted. Thomas is not messing around. When he asked me to watch a crazy John Waters movie from 1988, I'll do it. And it's going to have all kinds of controversial, racially charged subject matter. And it's an interesting chat. And I think you guys should check it out because they just don't make them like they used to. So go watch that last episode of CW Movie Night if you want to see me really on my best behavior, trying to figure out what's appropriate thing to say. And
Fair.
other than that, this week we got small talk, and we'll be covering your small scale 1/12 and 1/18 news over there.
Hell yeah, man. Always a pleasure having you back. Thanks for throwing your hat in the ring today. Let me know if you guys want to jump in next week. We can now have up to 10 panelists on Let's Get Nuts, which could be pretty wild. We'd have to keep the show a little shorter, I think, if that was the case. But anytime anybody is interested, as well as the folks that are out there in the community that are watching, if you want to be like Mike and sometimes just throw your hat in the ring and have some fun, get a little nuts with us, talk some figures, I'd always be happy to hear from you guys as well. It's fun to get some new blood in the panels and hear what other people have to say. So if you're here, you're already on the Ben Thomas Show. If you have had no chance to hit the subscribe button, please do so. It is free to do. If you want to become a Tough Nut member, you have the ability to do so there as well. Of course, we get nuts virtually every Sunday. We will be back next week for episode 51. If you can hit the like button to drive some support to the show, I absolutely appreciate it. But for Sunday, August 18th, Classy, I think that it's fair to say we got nuts. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll catch you on the next one.
Wow, what a great audience. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already.
Where should I go? What should I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
It's gone. It's all gone.